Facing Chaos's affirmation, Tom still pretended not to know, and planned to continue acting. But my heart sank. The Pluton drawing was on him, only he knew it. It is impossible for him to leak this secret himself. Looking at the expression of the Golden Emperor, it is unwavering to confirm that the Pluton drawing is on him. Hell. Could it be that you said it in your own dream? That's impossible. Mr. Golden Emperor joked. I don't even know what the 3 ancient weapons are. Tom laughed heartily, but after looking at the playful eyes of Chaos, the laughter became less and less. Snapped. Chaos snapped his fingers, and a gorgeous long sword sprang out from the light wheel behind him. He shot it out of the house in one fell swoop. Before Tom came back to his senses, accompanied by a painful grunt, Ace Bagu broke through the wooden wall and was nailed to the inner wall of the house because of pain. The face was pale, and the left shoulder was bleeding. But it was very hard-spirited, except for the scream at the beginning. Now he is holding back. You. Tom was furious, grabbed the case table next to him and blasted towards Chaos. As a Murloc, Tom is more than just a boatman. You can see Tom's strength just by lifting a boat with one hand. Can come out of the Fishman Island and live in the City of 7 Waters safely without 2 brushes. The key is the boat craftsman. The pirates on this sea are unreasonable. They build or repair pirate boats for these people, and don't even want to get the money back without fighting power. Judging from all the circumstances, Tom is actually not simple. The strong wind swayed Chaos's vertical hair, and the desk was only 1 centimeter away from his head, during which Chaos didn't even blink his eyes. Boom. The ground under his feet was sunken, and Tom slammed on the ground without warning, his fat face clinging to the ground and unable to move. As Chaos gently raised his hand, Tom was suspended in the air, blood in his sharp teeth, and even 2 of his front teeth were missing. Ace Bagu on the wall fell to the ground, his face paled due to excessive blood loss, and the gorgeous blood-stained sword stood on the back of his head as if it would be chopped off at any time. I know the drawings are on you, you can continue to be hard-hearted, I don't care. Chaos took his time and didn't panic at all, frustrating a cigar and vomiting mist. That expression is very smooth. I do not know what you're talking about. Tom looked at Ace Bagu, who was weak and pale, and his face was angry and still refused to admit it. It seems that you don't care about his life, so I have to send him on the road. The gorgeous long sword was raised high, and then fell in one fell swoop. Time seemed to slow down at this moment, and Tom's face was painful and tears flowed, but he just refused to speak. Chaos frowned, then returned to normal. The gorgeous long sword was only 1 centimeter away from Ace Bagu's stamina, and finally turned into gold powder and reintegrated into the light wheel behind Chaos. Just joking. Chaos slapped his cigar and stood up from the sofa, while Tom smashed to the ground to regain control of his body. Thanks for treatment. With a word, Chaos just disappeared. Inexplicably completely confused. Ace Bagu. Tom rushed to Ace Bagu for the first time, and quickly found the medical box from the pile of rubbish, and began to bandage Ace Bagu. Fortunately, the relief was timely, and in the end Ace Bagu saved his life. Only fainted. The whole room was quiet, except for Tom's heavy breathing. Now he is very embarrassed, and his face is constantly changing. He didn't know where the Golden Emperor learned that the Pluton drawing was on him, and he was certain from the beginning. Even at the last moment, he was pretty sure that the drawing was on him. But why gave up again? Or is it just a temptation? In fact, the reason why Chaos gave up was because Tom was too tough. I'd rather Ace Bagu died than talking. Chaos guessed that the relationship between the 2 parties is not so deep. Calculating the time, Frankie should also be abandoned by his parents, and then adopted by Tom. To put it bluntly, Tom has no obvious weaknesses yet. It seems to have to wait a few years. Can't be forced too tightly. There is a chance to get Pluton drawings in the future, don't panic. Even if he gets the Pluton drawings now, he can't make them. So thinking about it, Chaos intends to wait. Call out. A street was bombed, and various ruined walls were shot. Stussy condensed into a body, looked at the macaque walking out of the ruins in front of him, and took a deep breath. At this moment, the macaque remains in the human beast form, with a long tail and full hair. Stussy, you should be very clear that you can't resist the world government. Come back with us before the 10th. The macaque's voice is a bit sharp, and his eyes are full of fierceness. I just chose the life I want. Stussy tucked her hair down to her ears, saying something insincere. She was forced into this life at first, but now she feels pretty good. What's more, she has no turning back. In that case, I have to take you back forcibly. As soon as the words fell, the macaque appeared in front of Stussy across a distance of more than 10 meters. The fluffy right leg was covered with armed color, and it was like a broken bamboo without the slightest intention of leaving his hand. Rumble. A large piece of rubble was rolled up and swept out in a fan-shaped impact. What the macaque kicked was just broken clouds. At this time, Stussy had already condensed and formed in midair. Crescent. The air was torn, and 2 crescent-shaped tempest kick fell from the sky. With the huge explosion, Stussy looked solemn, and what she attacked was also the shadow of the opponent. Macaques fighting around. An indifferent voice appeared behind, and more than a dozen macaques appeared in their hands, and they couldn't see how they attacked. However, Stussy's movements were very fast, and the direct elementalization disappeared. Boom. I don't know when a thundercloud appeared in the sky. When the billowing smoke dissipated, the macaque's hair was blown up, and there was still black smoke. It looks a little embarrassed, but the real situation is useless. It seems that this devil fruit is suitable for you. The macaque just shakes, and the hair on its body returns to normal. Looking at Stussy with no expression on her face, she disappeared under her feet. Click. Click. White mist floated all over Stussy's body, suddenly turning into black slashing lightning, pressing down with both hands and spreading pitch-black thunderclouds centered on him, forming tides protruding in all directions. It looked like a black thunder sea from a distance. The macaque appeared where Stussy had stood before, swept through the black cloud with 1 foot, but Stussy had long since disappeared. There was a lot of lightning floating around, all rushing to the macaques densely. This made him have to cover his entire body with armed color to resist. Black clouds are billowing with lightning and thunder. Stussy is everywhere, and the enemy will be restricted if they are in it. Boom. Stussy just maintained his lower body and kicked at the macaque with a kick covering his arms. The latter turned around to resist, but Stussy suddenly disappeared and appeared behind him. A finger pistol blasted the macaque and left a blood hole on the macaque. Damn it. Faye shot out and stood firm. The macaque had a gloomy face, and then soared to the sky to get out of the dark cloud. But as the macaques soared, the black cloud of lightning and thunder also soared, always covering the macaques. Rumble. Pieces of earth and stone slabs were lifted up, and the surrounding areas were reduced to ruins and dilapidated. Because of the battle between Stussy and the macaques, the goddess of the gods who had billowed dark clouds had disappeared, the raindrops had disappeared, the soft sunlight was projected down, and even the beauty such as rainbow appeared. The scenery is pleasant, but the riots did not stop. The battles between crocodile and pangolins, Stussy and macaques, and the 5 golden warriors and 5 CP9s are not over yet. Click. The originally clear sky, lightning thunder flashed again without warning, but this time the lightning was black and red, making half of the area become dim and suppressed. At the same time, a lofty, resounding and heroic BGM spread across the entire 7 Waters city in one fell swoop, symbolizing that a big man is about to appear on stage. Foo. The airwave went up without warning, and all creatures wherever they went, their eyes turned white and fell to the ground. A haughty awe-inspiring, extremely arrogant anger swallows conquerors, like a predatory beast raging on the whole land. With the loud and passionate BGM, it is difficult to calm down. I don't know when on the head of the goddess, a man with a golden goose feather coat, 8-pack abdominal muscles with open chest, flowing vertical hair and golden earrings appeared with an evil and arrogant smile. On the tattered ground, the saber-toothed tiger remained in a human beast form, with its tail waving behind its back, showing a violent color. Have you finally shown up? The saber-toothed tiger stared at Chaos, breathing 2 air currents from the tip of his nose. Ants. Chaos put his hands on his shoulders, and the contemptuous color did not put the saber-toothed tiger in his eyes. In his opinion, this CPO is nothing more than that. He was remotely controlling the goddess just now, but this guy hasn't broken through the line of defense of the goddess for so long to find him, it's really useless. Facing such contempt in the eyes of Chaos, the saber-toothed tiger rose with anger, and as the ground exploded under its feet, the whole person flew into the sky with a sonic boom, and finally appeared in the air and the whole person revolved. Saber-tooth storm. In an instant, the saber-toothed tiger's hands, feet and tail, like a life-threatening weapon, shot out 10-meter tempest kick, densely forming a torrent and rushing towards Chaos. It can easily cut steel with a single blow. Once he used this trick to destroy a city, and even slaughtered tens of thousands of people. Small bugs. Look at me Shin-Su Senju. The light wheel on the back of the goddess is close to the body, and at the same time the body is smaller. Put the left hand on the abdomen, and the right thumb to pinch the middle finger to make a flower finger. In an instant, 36 golden arms suddenly stretched out from behind, just like Senju. Guanyin is generally full of sacredness and majesty. 36 arms are flexible and changeable, and their palms are all covered with armed colors, which look like they are wearing black and gold gloves from a distance. Because except for the 36 arms and palms of the goddess, all the others are golden. Not to mention that Chaos's armed color is not the top level, even if it can't cover the entire goddess, it is pure waste. At this moment, the state of Senju Guanyin of the goddess once made it difficult for the people in the City of Seven Waters to calm down, because this kind of scene was too dreamy and subverted. I don't know when even the BGMs changed. Xiao Feng's BGM at the beginning has now become a battle cry BGM, in line with the current appearance of the goddess, and the special effects background board filled with black and red thunder, all of which interpret the majestic and majestic, like a surging river that is unstoppable. The general trend, even in the face of the gods and Buddhas in the sky, is invincible. There was a huge roar in the entire sky, and the 36 arms, as they entered the tempest kick storm indefinitely, they were strong and unstoppable. Even if the arms were cut, they healed in a blink of an eye. A 10th level storm raged in one fell swoop, and the saber-toothed tiger still kept spinning, but the 36 arms were suppressed from all sides in one fell swoop, and the gold powder sparks continued to explode for a while. Just 10 breaths in a stalemate, the saber-toothed tiger turned into a meteor and fell diagonally. And the 36 arms continued to fall and hit the ground, forming potholes, and finally only 5 arms remained intact. But in the next second, the gold that broke and shot out, all flew up into the sky and merged with the goddess, and soon recovered without being affected by the slightest. Shoo! 36 arms ejected like lion majesty. With the huge explosion, half of the Seven Waters city seemed to tremble. The saber-toothed tiger with disheveled hair flew out of the billowing smoke and dust. The eyes are full of fierceness. Rumble. The ground exploded in a radius of 100 meters, and a golden slender hand pressed down. Only the afterimage of the saber-toothed tiger was attacked. After leaving a palm print, the golden slender hand raised and continued to chase the saber-toothed tiger. The next half of the house was grabbed by the golden slender hand, and finally turned into debris scattered in all directions. Still rushed for nothing. The explosion sounded continuously, and 36 arms were pressed down with one palm, or pinched with one hand. Our fingers were erected to form finger pistol, which continuously entangled and quickly suppressed the saber-toothed tiger. Puff. Facing the attack of 36 arms, the saber-toothed tiger kept dodge, but still received a blow. It was turned into a cannonball by a palm fan, crashing and collapsing a series of buildings. After leaving a huge tattered gully, it was too late to breathe. Disappeared quickly. Followed by the 3 slender hands pressed down, and after leaving a huge pit, he lifted up to continue chasing. Damn it. Go to hell. After being attacked several times in succession, the saber-toothed tiger appeared behind the goddess with its mouth full of blood, ejected and bombarded Chaos. Madness. Chaos did not turn around, still looking into the distance with his hands on his back, his face full of arrogance and contempt. It was as if the emperor was on the top, facing the beam-jumping clown. Thinking that he could attack successfully from behind, that would be too small for him to be the Golden Emperor. 6 Styles Saber-tooth Kill. The saber-toothed tiger appeared at the height of the back of the goddess' head. Seeing that Chaos was still facing him, her fierce face was full of brutality. But the next second he exploded. I saw that the back of the goddess's head suddenly turned into a face. Those cold eyes that did not contain the slightest emotion were staring at him silently, and at the same time, the back was also squirming into the front, and the 2 huge lethal weapons were full of sense of sight. The saber-toothed tiger only felt his sight black, and the 36 palms on his head appeared in all directions without leaving the slightest gap. Damn it. With a roar resounding across the sky, the saber-toothed tiger did not hesitate, and still made a strong attempt to eliminate Chaos. At the same time, the iron body and the armed color cover the whole body, which is an intention to fight hard. There is no second way now. The brave wins if you meet on a narrow road. Bow. There is no huge roar as imagined, but some are just dull and suppressed muffled sounds. Chaos was still facing his back, but tilted his head. A sharp air current swept past his ears, and disappeared in the blink of an eye, and the missing half of the gold earrings were constantly flying. You can see 5 overlapping palms, the center of which is penetrated to form a round hole, and white smoke is still emerging. This was penetrated by the saber-toothed tiger's attack. Damn it. The saber-toothed tiger's unwilling roar tore through the eardrums, fiercely staring at the back of Chaos through the round hole. His body has been bound by gold, only a head is left. The line of sight is slowly diminishing, and the round hole is beginning to heal. He will be buried and swallowed by gold. Death is embracing him. Puff. The horrifying suffocating sound is like nailing Madara's coffin with a hammer into the bone step by step in a cold and dark cemetery. In the completely sealed gold, the saber-toothed tiger's body is buried alive, and the vigorous vitality of the ancient species is like torture at this moment. He struggled hard and desperately, but in the end he was buried. Chaos was still facing him outside, and he had an invincible haki. The previous fight was intractable, but once he was bound, the result was instantly separated. The golden ball began to squirm, all arms returned to the cage, and the bloody, inhuman body of the saber-toothed tiger fell from the air and became a corpse. The goddess also returned to that sacred and inviolable appearance. Shoo! The sound of breaking through the air tore the eardrums, and with the snap of Chaos's fingers, the huge light wheel that turned behind the goddess stood on top of the head and turned into 18 weapons, and finally turned into a golden meteor shower, fighting with the golden warrior in one fell swoop. Kill the CP9. As for the battle between Crocodile and Stussy, Chaos did not intend to intervene. Sometimes it is necessary to give his subordinates a chance to perform. Boom boom boom. The streets were constantly bombarded, all kinds of ruined walls were shot, and the golden weapons fell in shock. The 5 CP9s that you came and went with the golden warriors were nailed to the ground or in the ruins for just 5 or 6 minutes, and finally lost their breath after a while. It is not just a weapon that is staring at them, but a lot of them. As terrible as a hedgehog. The sound of breaking through the air soared into the sky, and all 18 weapons merged into the body, and then the goddess disappeared in midair. At the same time, there were background special effects of black clouds rolling and electric thunder flashing. Chaos put away Conquerors and BGM and disappeared in place, and when they appeared, they were already in a coffee shop at the back of the City of Seven Waters. Enjoying a cup of coffee after the battle, and then waiting leisurely for the end of the battle between Crocodile and Stussy. Almost 20 minutes later, the slightly embarrassed 2 and Guy Simi's 3 men came to the coffee shop. Boss. After some battle, Crocodile seemed to be in a good mood. Except for the mess on his big back, he was dressed up in a black leather coat and swastika, which was very fancy. Stussy's dress was a little broken, and her snow-white skin was faintly looming, making it more seductive and enchanting. The white cloud ribbon flowing on the back of her wrist made her temperament more fairy-like. As for Guy Simi's 3 subordinates, they also have their own characteristics, but they are still a lot worse than Stussy. Well done. Chaos ignored Crocodile, but looked at Stussy. Stussy did not leave the life of the macaque. It's not an exaggeration to say it's spicy, but Chaos was satisfied. You can trust Stussy a little bit now. Stussy didn't reply, just sorted out her appearance, and the polite smile still bloomed. The 3 of you also sit down, order what you want to drink yourself. Chaos pressed his hand and motioned Guy Simi to sit down, and the latter 3 were somewhat restrained. Before Chaos put them on the ground and disappeared, the pretty face is still pale and weak because of the injury. In the hearts of the 3 women, Chaos is a god. The subversiveness of the first meeting has made them lost. The next thing is simple. The 3 women reported the current situation in the red light district to Stussy. Chaos didn't interrupt, just listened. Finally Stussy made a decision. Boss, I think I need to deal with it myself. Stussy took a sip of coffee very elegantly, and looked at Chaos with wet and sexy red lips. Chaos didn't answer it the first time, but knocked on the table with one hand, thinking about something. If Stussy separated from him here, it would be dangerous. It was originally intended to harm each other with the world government, but now it seems that some small strategies need to be changed. He also didn't want to end up with a tattered red light district power. The best way is for Stussy to rectify himself, and he will continue to hurt each other with the world government outside. This is the most beneficial. What Chaos can think of, so can Stussy. Now Stussy has completely given his trust to Chaos. It may be a temptation. She left Chaos to rectify the red light district. She will definitely be targeted by the world government, and may be caught at that time, and then it depends on what Chaos does. Both knew it well. It's worthy of our team's face value responsibility. I am very pleased. Thanks. Stussy swept the hair from his forehead to the base of his ears, hoping that he had not misread the man. It didn't take long for Stussy to take Guy Simi, Lily, and Kokus away. Walking with confidence. Chaos and Crocodile also left after filling the 5 internal organs temple. An hour later, a warship docked in the port. Sengoku looked at several corpses on the ground with a calm face. He was late. At the same time, the Holy Land Marie Joyce also received the news. New World, Marigel Waters, kilometers above the sky. The icy air current was torn apart, and a huge shadow flew out of the clouds, sliding down gradually. The picture kept getting closer. It turned out to be an extinct pterodactyl, with its wings stretched out to be a full 14 meters wide, and on its back stood a very delicate and weak man. For the time being, I think it is a man. The main reason is that this man's face is too delicate, with a white and tender face, slender eyebrows, and eyeliner. He looks a little feminine in his outfit. If Chaos is here, he will exclaim, "Mother." Blue Brew. The phone worm rang from under the tender collarbone, very rhythmic. Hey. Niang Pao stretched out her crystal-like slender palm, frowned slightly after connecting to the phone bug, so that she looked even more feminine. On the 10th, how is the investigation about pure gold? There was a feelingless voice from the phone worm, a little numb. I didn't find anything. The lanternfish is probably no longer in the Marigel waters. The mother gun, called number 10, yawned when she heard the voice from the phone bug. To tell you the news, your team member Stussy has determined to betray, and saber-toothed tigers, squirrels, macaques, and pangolins have also died in the city of 7 waters. Originally, I was sent to solve your team member. It depends on the relationship between you and me. I recommend you to go. Although the voice on the phone bug was cold and numb, there was a faint trace of schadenfreude. Yes. Number 10, who was originally a motherly girl, had no expression on her face in vain. Her crystal-like eyes released cold light like a knife. Of course, you only have 5 days to clean up, and I am very dissatisfied with you. As soon as he finished speaking the opposite, number 10 suddenly hung up the phone worm, and his face was gloomy and rainy. How could Stussy betrayed the saber-toothed tigers? The pterodactyl at the foot of number 10 spoke out with a hint of disbelief. Go to the city of 7 waters. The silent voice was confided from the mouth of number 10, and layers of water chestnut crystals began to climb on the delicate face, even in the eyes. Understood. The pterodactyl flapped its giant wings, shifted its direction through the clouds, and quickly disappeared. There is no doubt that this number 10 is the CPO of the strongest team in the conversation between Squirrel and Stussy, and it is also something that Stussy fears or even fears. Grand Line, Marine Division 38. Weather. Clear. There are white clouds floating on the head, it is a rare good weather. Suddenly, there was a roar in the kilometer sky, and a black spot became bigger and bigger, and even more dazzling. Especially under the shining of the sun, it is full of golden brilliance. What sound? The Marines patrolling in the Marine Division heard the sound looking around, and when they were sure that it was coming from the beginning, they all raised their heads and opened their mouths in amazement. It was only a moment before the whole branch sounded an alarm. Enemy attack, quickly retreat. Damn it. That's too late. Like a meteor in the sky, in the pupils of all the seamen, a 100-meter square painted halberd that penetrates the sky, golden and full of sacred fall. Rumble. The golden Fangtian painted halberd fell in the center of the branch. At that moment, the surface of the ground for a kilometer in a radius was all lifted up, and then a shock wave turned into a tsunami, forming a wave of mountains and seas, destroying everything. All kinds of screams and fear spread. The flying sand and the rocks are full of smoke, and when everything subsides, half of the branch has been reduced to ruins. Ahem, who is it? Dare to attack the marine branch? A rear admiral crawled out of the ruined wall, and the previous shockwave made him a little uncomfortable. It just so happened that he was the highest officer of this branch. This sudden attack caught him off guard. Lifting his head and looking up along Fang Tian's painting of a halberd, 2 figures descended from the sky on the halberd handle, looking down on the audience as if looking at an ant. The Golden Emperor, the King of the Desert. Rear Admiral's face condensed, looking at the 2 fancy and arrogant figures, his breathing was suppressed all at once. Snapped. Chaos dangling a cigar, his golden goose feather coat was dancing behind him, and he reached out his hand and snapped his fingers. Fang Tian's painted halberd under his feet made the clash of gold and iron horses, forming a dense array of 18 weapons falling into the air. Gudong. Many embarrassed marines swallowed, all staring at the raised right hand of Chaos. Shoo. The sonic boom kept coming, and all the weapons shot out like bullets. For a while, the entire branch was bombarded by missiles, broken walls pierced through the air, and the ground exploded. It looked like rain from a distance, and smoke and dust rolled everywhere. After 5 minutes, everything stopped. Every seaman in the ruins was nailed to the ground, or lay in the ruins and lost their lives. It was simply a unilateral massacre full of extinction of humanity. Kaios looked at all this coldly. There was no unbearable or burden in my heart. He knows exactly what the truth of this world is and what he wants. The only blame is the different camps. The seamen are not innocent people to Chaos, but the enemy. Chaos is also an enemy to the Marines, and if given a chance, he will definitely be caught. Coupled with the mutual harm with the world government now, Chaos's start can be described as a straightforward move. Just like a sentence in the 3 bodies, what do I do to you if I destroy you? Don't go too well with this world of the weak and the strong. What's more, there is still a conflict of interests between Chaos and the world government. Dare to touch the cheese in my red light district, I can't kill you. That was the red light district, and he might not be so caring about it when he changed to another force. Red light district, red light district, red light district, say 3 times. Men, all understand. Kang Kang. All the weapons were lifted into the air, merged into one body in the collision, and finally formed into the suspension of the goddess. This is the phone worm number. Tell Marineford. A golden long sword was shot next to Rear Admiral, with a string of numbers on the blade. Leaving a word, the goddess turned around like Chang'e flying to the moon, 3,000 gold silks and palace skirts fluttering, so sacred and inviolable. Even if it's just a turn around, it can be beautiful enough to make the whole world bubble. Rear Admiral watched as the goddess disappeared, and the blood had stained his whole body. His left shoulder was previously pierced by a spear, and he thought he was dead. Unexpectedly, get up with difficulty, take out the phone worm, and quickly report up. Marineford, headquarters building. The marshal's office at the highest point. Empty is working. Looking at the melancholy, it is obvious that the work is not going well. Boom. The office door was suddenly opened, and a Rear Admiral rushed in with a phone worm in his hand. Marshal, the 38th branch was destroyed by the Golden Emperor. What? Kong's resolute face became more resolute. Even his eyes widened slightly. Rear Admiral did not speak, but handed the phone worm to Kong. This is Branch 38, I am XX Rear Admiral. As soon as the phone worm was picked up by the air, a quick report came from the phone worm. Sora did not interfere, but let Rear Admiral report to the end. Send someone to the 38th branch immediately. Yes. As Rear Admiral in the office left, Sora also hung up the phone worm. The ins and outs are clear. But Sora was not as angry as he imagined, but rather calm. Then he dialed the phone worm number left by Chaos. Brew brew. The phone worm only rang for 10 seconds before being connected, and as soon as it was connected, there was a sound of violent wind roaring, as if it were moving fast in the high air. Sora did not speak at the first time, and the other side didn't mean to speak. After 5 breaths, the phone worm was hung up, which made Kong narrow his eyes. Dialed again. This time it rang for a minute before being connected, and the opposite party still didn't speak after being connected. Do not speak empty. As if whoever speaks first will lose face. After another 5 breaths, the phone worm was hung up. Sora still showed no signs of anger, and was as calm as ever. Dialed again, but this time it rang for 2 minutes and was not connected. After playing 3 times, there was still no response. 3 hours later, the Marine branch of Grand Line 32. Kilometers above the sky. Boss, let me come this time. Standing in the hands of the goddess, Crocodile looked at the island on the blue sea below, and took a sigh of cigar and spit out the smoke ring, showing the gangster temperament. Casual. Chaos looked at the phone bug in his hand, with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. I want Lousy to speak first, I want to fart, in that case, it's up to who can't hold his breath first. Lousy is barefoot, afraid that you wear flip-flops? Crocodile turned into flying sand, flying towards the island below, condensed and formed at a height of 100 meters, and 2 groups of mini sandstorms appeared with hands spread out. Sha Lan. Throwing out to the island one after the other, the mini-storm is like a wild horse running off the rein, starting to turn bigger and bigger, as if 2 tornadoes are mighty and mighty. No, there is an enemy attack. There is an enemy attack. It's a sandstorm. How could there be a sandstorm, or 2? The Marine branch on the island began to sound an alarm. When they saw the sandstorms that were gradually rising against the storm, many Marines were full of horror. In the face of natural disasters, you can feel the insignificance of people just by facing them. 2 groups of ever-increasing sandstorms, under the control of Crocodile, are constantly looting in the Marine division. Just like a drunk man brutally ravaging the weak girl cannon, Madara wherever he goes. Retreat. Hurry up and find a cover. It is the king of the desert, the subordinate of the Golden Emperor. Damn it. 2 sandstorms swept through for 10 minutes, and finally disappeared slowly under Crocodile's control. If the sandstorm is allowed to grow, even Crocodile will not be able to control it. Blue brew. Some impatient phone bugs rang for 3 minutes. At an altitude of several kilometers, Chaos connected to the phone, but still did not speak. The Golden Emperor, you are looking for death. Ultimate's suppressed anger, as if a volcano would erupt at any time, full of threats and coldness. Who are you? Chaos pulled out his ears, and the goddess wriggled her palms to form a golden throne. After Chaos sat down with Erlang's legs, the gold tributary next to it formed a bar-high platform, and a bottle of red wine appeared on it. If you dig through the charming chest of the goddess, you will find a storage space with a lot of daily supplies. It's like a mobile storage ring. When the goddess becomes bigger in the future, the internal space will be even broader. These materials were still obtained in the capital of 7 waters, which was a whim. I didn't expect it would be so convenient. Ding. Clinking glasses with Crocodile, Chaos took a sip without panic. Far away in the empty space of Marineford, with a gloomy face in the office. 10 minutes ago, there was news that the Marine branch of number 32 had been destroyed. Then he made several calls and was only connected this time. I'm Marine Marshal Kong Kong. Sora returned to calm, as if the threat of rage was not what he said. Marshal Marine Kong Kong, admiring his name for a long time. Chaos yawned and frustrated a cigar with a sip, and found that the northwest wind at an altitude of several thousand meters was a bit cool. What do you want to do? Sora didn't mean anything, just a few phone calls had already shown how arrogant the man on the phone worm was. I just inform you that the red light district belongs to my golden emperor, and the world government dares to give me eye drops. I can't kill you. Call me again when you can't carry it anymore. I'm a bit busy now, and I'm heading to other branches of Marine. When the phone worm hung up, Chaos was also neat and tidy, without the slightest verbal meaning. Just a notice. If he wants to make the world government headache, he has a way. What is the greatest value of golden fruit? It's never a fight, but a value. Boom. Looking at the phone worm that hung up in his hand, he slapped it on the desk with a slap, a pair of sharp eyes filled with sorrow. I really dare to threaten the world government if I am a character. Huh. Overwhelming. Kong Lang snorted, and didn't pay much attention to the Golden Emperor from beginning to end. The only thing that caught his attention was the golden fruit. Since the Golden Emperor is looking for death, then fulfill him. Let Zephyr come to the office. With a shout to the door, a rear admiral saluted and left. Currently Zephyr has not gone out, but cultivated elite seedlings for Marine in the academy. Sora's idea this time was very simple, and if Sengoku and Zephyr were sent out at the same time, he couldn't believe that he couldn't catch each other. If the Golden Emperor could not fly, he would have been in prison long ago. Sora did not report this incident to Marie Joyce. He was also Marshal Marine anyway. He still has the right to deal with such trivial matters. Since he became Marine Marshal, no one has dared to be so arrogant. Openly threatened him. Just 2 or 3 people want to fight against the world government and let the world government retreat proactively. Even Golden Lion and Whitebeard dare not be so arrogant. Someone once dared to do this, so they were buried in the Valley of Gods. Compared to the strength and influence of that man, what is the Golden Emperor? To be honest, the Golden Emperor was always a jumping clown in the eyes of Kong and 5 elders from beginning to end, and he never really paid attention to it. The reason why the Golden Emperor is still jumping up and down is nothing more than the advantage of flying ability. Being able to fly in the air for a long time, Golden Lion is much better than Golden Emperor. Regarding barefoot, the loneliness of Red can also throw away the streets of the Golden Emperor. So where does the courage of the Golden Emperor come from? What qualifications do you have to be arrogant and arrogant? Putting it all together, in Kong's eyes, the Golden Emperor is a clown, and he can be pressed to death with a little seriousness, which is nothing more than a waste of time. Momigat Island, located in the Marigel waters. It is a fairly prosperous island. It sounds strange. But the geographical location of this island is actually very unusual. Because this island was once the neighbor of the legendary Alchemy Island, it can be said that it is not far away. According to the information investigated by the world government, the lanternfish and Miskina Oroja had appeared in the surrounding waters and islands. In a hotel on the island, is there any news? Sitting on a luxurious soft sofa, a man with a long beard, hands longer than his legs, earphones and black glasses, is listening to the music in the earphones. Sitting on the sofa opposite was no one else, it was Neradar, the color-changing king of the 5 rudders of the explosive pirate group. After leaving Sabodi Archipelago, they came here to investigate matters related to pure gold. Wearing headphones to listen to music, it was Mantis King S. Subik, the Mantis King of the 2nd rudder of the explosive pirates, a man from the Longhand tribe. Explosion the Kun Master is not there. Although I got news from the world government that the main figures related to pure gold have appeared here, the details are not known. So it needs to be investigated. When the result is clear, perhaps the Explosion Lord Kun will come in person. No. The color-changing King Neradil shook his head. Now that he knew the power of pure gold, they exploded the pirate group in the world government. However, the world government has to take a lot of steps ahead of them. More than 20 years ago, people have been sent to lurk on Momigat Island and some surrounding islands. On the back of the island is a fortress called Marine. Stationed as a vice admiral. Among them, there are many other world government personnel, such as CP-1, CP-2, and CP-9. Perhaps since learning that pure gold can delay life, the world government has been investigating secretly. Time can even be traced back to more than 100 years ago. By the way, I just got news that Ochaku has also landed on the island. Who are you talking about? Mantis King S. Subik tore off the earphones, Even if he was wearing black glasses, he could see the prudence and fear. It's Ochaku from Rock's Pirate. The color-changing king also had a heavy face, not much different from the Mantis King's expression. How could he appear here? The Mantis King cannot be careless. Rock's Pirate. Even if it has been disintegrated for so many years, the influence still exists. Once on the ocean, Rock's Pirate was the well-deserved overlord, the only super overlord. Leaving aside the mystery of Captain Rock's D. Zebek, just count the Rock's Pirate crew members who are still alive. The Beasts Kaido, Charlotte Linlin, Whitebeard Edward Newgate, including the Golden Lion Shiki of the Flying Pirates, were once members of Rock's Pirate. Which one of these is not the maritime hegemon now? Just right. Ochaku is also one of them. This identity alone can see the power of Ochaku. Not only these people are still alive, Rock's Pirate also has other people, each of whom is not easy to mess with. Without hesitation, the Rock's Pirate once had the ability to overthrow the world government, but it was too anxious. Coupled with the intrigue in the regiment, it is destined that as soon as Rock's dies, the entire pirate regiment will fall apart. As the sun sets, the sky is full of red clouds. A beautiful goddess, fluttering 3,000 gold silk and a long skirt, the fairy air floats towards the sky and soars out. What was left in place was a ruin. This is Marine 34 branch. Almost half an hour later, a golden light appeared in the air, looking at only the ruined part of the wall, that wretched face wrinkled slightly. Coming one step too late. Bluebrew. Pulling the phone worm out of his sleeve, Pelusalino dialed slowly. Porusalino, how is the 34th branch? Sengoku's slightly angry voice came from the phone worm. Sora had already talked to him on the phone, and learned that the Golden Emperor had destroyed the 38 and 32 branches, and he was rushing here now, as well as Zephyr. Only Zephyr went to the 31st branch. In short, it is not very far away. Sengoku had already made a plan when receiving the empty order. That is to let Pelusalino hold the Golden Emperor. At that time, whether it is him or Zephyr, as long as he is close, he can rush away in the shortest time. Then the Golden Emperor will catch the turtle in the urn. Otherwise Pelusalino would not appear here, a step late. Pelusalino lit a cigarette and reported truthfully. Damn it. Sengoku came with an angry voice, very angry. You go to Division 35 right away. If that guy continues to do it, it should be the nearest branches. No problem. Perusalino spit out the smoke ring, not as angry as Sengoku, but completely irrelevant. He still has some opinions on Emperor Golden Emperor. It's just that the guy is a bit mean and cunning, it's really a bit tricky. Grand Line, Volcanic Island. An island on a certain route. Because the whole island is full of volcanoes, the hot springs here are very famous. Tourism and commerce are very developed here, and it can be said to be a holiday destination. Even if night has fallen, the city on the island is still brightly lit. Among them, various taverns and hot springs are the most lively. In the dark night, two figures fell from the sky, and finally walked out of the alley and stood on the crowded street. Boss, what are we doing so far? Crocodile was puzzled. After they destroyed Marine 34 branch, they flew all the way to the island. I also passed many marine branches in the middle, but the boss didn't do anything. Use your brain when doing things, and you need to combine work and rest. Today's 3 branches are almost there, we will continue tomorrow. Chaos frustrated a cigar without explaining too much. Because he found that Crocodile didn't seem to like to use his brain much since he followed him. Now that they are hurting each other with the world government, they must have sent a big man to guard them, and they may fall into the pit if they are not careful. Therefore, if you want to destroy some of the world government and marine bases, you cannot have irregularity, you must make them unpredictable. Destroy a little here today, and destroy a little tomorrow. The distance in between must be well grasped. This is called a sense of distance. In this way, you are not afraid of world government squatting. Even if Sengoku, Zephyr, and Garp are chased and killed at the same time, as long as he is not stupid enough, there are ways to make the world government headache. Yudao is hard to deal with the little devil. It just can't be too high profile. Even if it is high profile, you can't stay in one place for too long, otherwise it will be very dangerous. But these are all excuses. The high profile is still to be high profile, but it depends on the venue. After all, B also needs the audience to set off. If it is just to make a high profile in front of ordinary people, it will completely lose the connotation of B and fall into the stereotype. Chaos believes that he is out of low taste, and now he is in the atmosphere, rather than the so-called first and second layers. However, Chaos still maintains a high profile. After all, the golden goose feather coat and the golden light wheel erected on the back, these dress signs are like light bulbs even in the dark. They are really unique and individual. Apart from the Golden Emperor in the Great Sea, Who else would be so fancy? Crocodile is similar, a black fur coat with a swastika on the back of the quicksand symbol, combing his back and smoking a cigar, a proper gangster. When the two walked on the street, the turning head rate was over 90%. Low-key? The two didn't even know what low-key is. In other words, Chaos feels very low-key now. After all, he has not added BGM and Conqueror's special effects. Hey. I read it right. That seems to be the Golden Emperor and the King of the Desert. How come I feel so alike? Nonsense, that is the Golden Emperor and the King of the Desert. It's arrogant enough. It's such a high-profile swagger on the street. Except for the Golden Emperor, no one in the sea is so fancy, afraid that they won't be able to attract the attention of others. As Chaos and Crocodile walked down the street, the atmosphere changed everywhere. Many pirates swallowed, or were jealous, or greedy, or ready to move. At the same time, Chaos and Crocodile were angry. Whether they were walking, their facial expressions, or this fancy dress, they all made people extremely angry, and an unexplained fire began to rise. But no one did it. The current Golden Emperor is no longer the previous Golden Emperor. After Chaos died several times, the Golden Emperor represented not only wealth, but also strength. Of course, there is no shortage of stupid pirates in the sea. More than 30 pirates couldn't bear it, they jumped out and looked at Chaos greedily. Just catching this man is equivalent to catching the whole world. Puff puff. The pirates who hadn't waited to be the leader uttered wild words, and shot a handful of swords, guns and halberds in the dark sky, directly nailing more than 30 pirates to the ground. Screams and crying spread throughout the audience for a while. The pungent and bloody smell floated in the air, full of sweetness and sweetness. Some pirates and residents around, all lowered their breath and dared not make any movement. A golden weapon is so tempting, but underneath is a body that is constantly struggling with pain. The cruelty of the Golden Emperor was a bit unexpected. He crucified people to the ground if they didn't agree. Cruel. Chaos and Crocodile didn't blink their eyes, smoking cigars and walking at the pace that their parents did not recognize. The golden goose feather coat and black fur coat swayed, the light wheel in the swastika turned on the back, and the inside and outside were filled with superficial arrogance. Snapped. The sound of big feet stepping in a pool of blood. After leaving bloody footprints, Chaos and Crocodile gradually walked towards the hotel halfway up the mountain. Chaos came here naturally to relax. I have to work tomorrow morning. In this way, in a pair of greedy and jealous eyes, Chaos and Crocodile gradually moved away. Shoo. 18 weapons soared into the sky one after another, and disappeared into the night in the blink of an eye. You can meet this guy wherever you go. On a hotel balcony, the Reaper Theseus's face is sullen. In Demon Valley Town, they had a lot of grievances. Who could have imagined that the Golden Emperor would become so powerful in such a short period of time? Moreover, his fame has thrown him several blocks away. Damn it. The more I think about it, the more angry. The news that the Golden Emperor appeared on the island naturally spread quickly. The atmosphere that was originally calm suddenly stirred up. It can only be said to be a shitstick. The undercurrent is not only the volcanic island. In just 1 or 2 hours, many outside forces also knew the news that the Golden Emperor had appeared on the volcanic island. For example, Marine. A golden light flew in the distant sky, and 2 warships in different directions were all rushing towards the volcanic island. Another example is the Flying Pirate Group. From beginning to end, the Golden Lion did not give up on capturing the Golden Emperor, and the captains of its fleet were all concerned about the whereabouts of the Golden Emperor. Just right. The 19th Fleet Captain Shinso Hand Halbertson and the 17th Fleet Captain Mummy Algao were relatively close to the volcanic island because of their missions. What was going on outside could not disturb Chaos's comfort at this time. The most luxurious hotel, the most luxurious hot spring, Chaos and Crocodile are naked, with their backs on the natural hot spring pool, smoking a cigar with a white towel on their shoulders, and squinting their eyes, full of ecstasy. This is life. Chaos tilted his head to hold the red wine by the pool, taking a sip very pleasantly. Also touched Crocodile after a while. Ha! Crocodile yawned, feeling drowsy in the hot springs. The 2 healthy men had nothing to say. One was drowsy, and the other drank a sip of red wine with his eyes closed. They were very lazy. Little did they know that the whole mountainside, or around the hotel, was surrounded by peeping sights long ago. I don't know how long I have soaked, about 30 minutes. Kyos, who was also drowsy, opened his eyes, frowned slightly and looked at the reddish hot spring pool water. The temperature was no different from boiling water. How the temperature gets higher and higher. Is this a big pot? It's almost a pot of oil, salt, sauce and vinegar to stew. Boss, things are wrong. Crocodile was also awakened. The temperature of the hot spring pool was very wrong. Wow. Chaos stood up from the bath, the hot pool water ran down from him, and not far away the golden goose feather coat, golden panties, golden fierce dragon tattoo, golden flip-flops, and golden light wheel all returned to the right position on the recliner not far away. Looking sideways at the head of the volcano, he found something with interest in his eyes. Crocodile also walked out of the bath and followed Chaos' gaze to the volcano head, but found nothing. Obviously, seeing and hearing sex has not yet cultivated home. Chaos rose from the ground and flew quickly to the largest volcanic head. Crocodile also burst into flying sand. At this time, the temperature inside the volcano's head was frighteningly high. Few people can come here, and you will find that the volcanic head is huge and there is a cave inside, just like a basin. The hot magma in the center is constantly bubbling and flowing, and the surrounding ground is grayish-black. Obviously, the ground is extremely strong and heavy because of the temperature baking for many years. Although the environment is harsh, vegetation still grows in some places. The hot spring where Chaos and Crocodile soaked, the spring eye is just under a mountain wall. It stands to reason that the volcano is silent now, but the temperature is far higher than normal, and it has risen significantly by several levels. This causes the spring water flowing out of the spring to be extremely hot. As for why the spring is inside the volcano and there are vegetation, it can only be said that this world is magical. But the most peculiar thing is the figure swimming in the magma. There is nothing wrong with it. Someone is swimming in the magma. The flesh and blood swims in the magma, sometimes snorkeling, dog climbing. Chaos and Crocodile appeared above the magma, and during the hot baking, looking at the cheerful guy swimming in the magma with different expressions. Crocodile was a little surprised, but in a blink of an eye he thought of devil fruit. And Chaos is reminiscing. In the world of One Piece, Chaos knows 3 people who can roll so freely in the magma. The first one is Sakazuki, the second one is Charlotte Irving, and the third one is the Scorching Man with the 18th line supporting role. I don't remember the specific name. First exclude Sakazuki and Owen, then this guy who is swimming happily should be the little supporting role as expected. Paramecia, a person with the ability to heat fruits. It can raise the body temperature from 1 to 10,000. Chaos remembers this little supporting role devil fruit, which is somewhat similar to Charlotte Irving. Some posts say that Irving's devil fruit is actually heating the fruit, just like it is in baking, or that the scorching person dies, and then Irving gets the hot fruit. Chaos didn't know the specific situation. The current Scorching Man is still young. He is obviously single. You must know that in the future, there will be 3 sons and 2 daughters. He is also a guy who uses the powerful devil fruit to waste. In Chaos's opinion, the potential of hot fruit does not lose to any other devil fruit. The full potential of the humanoid sun, even lava fruit, does not have the potential of this devil fruit. In the original book, this guy can raise his body temperature to 10,000 degrees circa. According to the actual situation, 10,000 burned through the earth a long time ago. It is necessary to know that the surface temperature of the sun is only 5,500, and the center temperature is only 20,000. The body temperature of this F*K is as high as 10,000. Which is different from the walking sun. What is the difference? Everything you go will be destroyed, so it really can't be compared with reality or more truthful. The development of this devil fruit does not require too many whimsical thoughts. It only needs to raise the temperature, and at that time, it will have the power of destroying the ancients with a punch or kick. Who? Aquino turned over to prepare for the backstroke, only to find Chaos and Crocodile in midair looking very alert. He has been on the volcanic island lately, and will take a bath in the magma from time to time. So far, no one has come to this area to observe. After all, not everyone can tolerate the high temperature. I was planning to stay for a few days before going to New World to break through. Now Aquino is the same as Crocodile and Gecko Moria. When he was young, he was arrogant, but after being frustrated, he deviated. Since then, he has been devastated and lost the opportunity to become a top powerhouse, intending to rely on external forces to achieve his goals. However, Crocodile was fortunate enough to meet Chaos. Although he gradually went off track, he did not intend to rely on external forces like the original book. This is the biggest difference. But the situation seems to be worse. Chaos and Crocodile landed gradually, and finally stood just 3 feet above the bubbling magma, and they could feel the scorching heat. The two are also non-human, so the temperature can still be tolerated. Aquino was very vigilant. It was because the dresses of these 2 people were too shocking and arrogant. Very badly beaten. However, I looked familiar. It seems to have seen it somewhere, but I can't remember it for a while. Interesting. Chaos frustrated the cigar, spit out the smoke ring after a sip, and his expression of interest gradually faded. Judging from the other's expression, it seems that he doesn't know him. On this alone, it is guilty. The expression he wanted to see was shock, fear, and horror, not this. Snapped. With the snap of his fingers, there was a roar from the dark sky. As a wind pressure swept across, the surrounding magma splashed out, and a behemoth stood on Aquino's head. That sacred look immediately let Aquino know who it was. Because of this, his expression changed rapidly, somewhat unbelievable and excited. The Golden Emperor turned out to be the Golden Emperor. Seeing Aquino's constantly changing face, Kaios felt refreshed. But still guilty, the Golden Emperor. Aquino had vigilance in his eyes, but there was also greed. Call out. As soon as Aquino finished speaking, Chaos' index finger lightly waved, and the slender right hand of the goddess protruded, forming a shadow and grabbed Aquino. There is no meaning to talk. Chaos is very interested in this guy, strictly speaking, this hot fruit. People can be considered as a manufacturable. Temperature punch. Aquino's body tightened, he didn't expect the Golden Emperor to start his hand at a disagreement. But he was not afraid. Just by catching the Golden Emperor, you can become the richest person in the world. This temptation can't be controlled by anyone. The whole arm was red like a hot soldering iron, and the temperature rose suddenly. The surrounding magma began to roll like boiling water, and there was a high-temperature heat wave. Boom. There was a huge dull sound. The temperature fist collided with the slender right hand, and the goddess actually suffered. It can be seen that the palm of the hand is penetrated, and the surrounding gold is burned to form a liquid. Using the science of the last life to explain, 1064.43, can make yellow financial, but the gold in this world is different, not to mention the fact that chaos has increased its density and hardness. This punch actually easily penetrated the palm of the goddess. It is enough to show how lethal Aquino's punch is and how high the temperature is. It can only be said that this world cannot be explained by common sense or science. Chaos spit out the smoke ring, looked at the goddess who withdrew her hand, and then looked at Aquino and barely passed. The right palm of the goddess quickly healed and grabbed Aquino again. It's just that the slender palms that were originally golden are now black and gold. Kaios used armed color, temperature punch. Aquino had already raised his body temperature to ultimate, and once again punched out a heat wave, and you could see that the airflow was rippling. But this time the attack completely failed. The slender hand did not obstruct the magma tightly, and held him in one fell swoop. At this moment Aquino's face changed. The body temperature has risen to the highest level, but the black and golden slender hand doesn't move, and it doesn't mean to melt. With the current high temperature, even steel can easily melt. Humph. Aquino snorted, his body was heavily squeezed, and his bones made an overwhelming sound. A sense of suffocation came, and the entire face was twisted together due to pain, and even his eyes began to congestion and became hideous, and he was about to be gripped to death. This is your highest temperature. Chaos could feel the consumption of the armed color, a little bit faster. It's just that this guy is surprisingly weak. As long as you can endure this high temperature, you can easily defeat it. Damn it. Aquino grinned, almost unable to support it. Chaos waved his hand, the goddess shook it, and Aquino turned into a cannonball and smashed on the volcanic wall, causing a lot of rubble and vomiting blood to the ground. The figure moved sideways to the ground, and Chaos looked down at Aquino, who got up, spitting out the smoke ring, and said, "Now you have two choices, either become your own or become a corpse." Boss, this guy is too weak. Crocodile is a little disdainful, such a weak boss actually wants to subdue? The woman Stussy is fine, at least her strength is pretty good. But this guy is so hot, joining in is completely lowering the level of the entire team. He is the king of the desert. Crocodile, a man offering a reward of 560 million, how can he become teammates with the weak? Obviously, Crocodile didn't look down on Aquino. Aren't you weak at first? Chaos turned his head and looked at Crocodile inexplicably, this guy became so fast. Are you xenophobic before you even start? No, there are so many people in the sea who are stronger than him. Crocodile felt cut. It hurts too. Lao Sha, your situation has become smaller again. I never choose people to look at others, just look at the pleasing and unpleasant things, just like you were in the same position in the first place. Chaos interrupted Crocodile, he looked at people and didn't have a reason. Just look at whether it is pleasing to the eye, whether you want to subdue it. No mood, everything is nonsense. There are also many good seedlings encountered along the way, such as the Frozen Queen, the Reaper, and the Madara Horsekiller, but Sows didn't even think about conquering it. This is the best example. Humph. What else could Crocodile say? He could only smoke a cigar dully from the side. Call out. Chaos and Crocodile are discussing that Aquino will not sit still. Run away for the first time. Never thought of catching the Golden Emperor. Obviously, he knew that he was not the opponent of the Golden Emperor, so he escaped decisively. From this we can see that Aquino is not stupid, on the contrary, he is sensible and shrewd. Not being dazzled by money, there is no overweight. Want to run? Crocodile squinted his eyes, turned into flying sand, and shot out, appearing in front of Aquino in one fell swoop, kicking hard with his right foot wrapped in armed color. Puff. Aquino's entire chubby body bent his bow, and the blood sprayed from his mouth turned into a cannonball and hit the mountain again, and a lot of dust was rolled up around the rocks. It's really weak. Crocodile was even more disdainful. It is like looking down at the ants, very arrogant. Suddenly the air current rippled, a hot wind was set off in the dust, and the surrounding temperature rose linearly. Aquino was burning red like a human-shaped sun coming out, the surrounding hard surface began to melt, and the magma began to boil. The temperature actually broke through at this time. You deceive people too much. Aquino's eyes were red, and the bloody boss actually took the initiative to attack. Since the other party won't let him go easily, let it go. But I picked soft persimmons. Because of Crocodile's disdainful face, it was too glaring. Namelessly, he got up in a flash. Temperature punch. Turning into a cannonball flying, Aquino approached Crocodile and slammed it out, as if the surrounding atmosphere was burning. Crocodile still remained disdainful, not even planning to use sand fruit, and clenched his right fist to directly cover the armed color and collide with it. The surrounding area shook for a while, and the powerful heat wave rolled and destructive. Crocodile couldn't help backing up a few steps, and raised the scarlet right fist. White mist was rising. Feeling the tingling from his fist, Crocodile's face sank. The other party seems a little capable. Perhaps Chaos just solved it so easily that Crocodile has illusion of honey. I think Aquino is nothing more than that. The strength is okay. Crocodile shook his right hand, a group of calm. Chaos looked at Crocodile contemptuously. The guy's right hand was red and still shaking. Obviously suffered a small loss. Damn it. There were 2 traces under Aquino's feet, and the iron hard ground also melted into magma at this moment. The whole body is now hot, and the wisps of high-temperature steam continue to rise, turning into cannonballs to rush towards Crocodile again. Bang bang. Crocodile also disappeared in place, and when he appeared, he covered his arms with both hands, and confronted Aquino head-on. Plan to teach this guy through hard power lessons. It's just that the opponent's fist is really not so hard, but even so, it is still pressing. It's a bit quick to consume the armed color. After half an hour, mid-levels hotel, in the most luxurious room. Chaos sat on the sofa topless, with Erlang's legs tilted up while drinking red wine while reading the news. Not far away, Crocodile was eating, to replenish consumption a little. On the ground opposite Chaos, Aquino's nose and face were swollen, and his chubby shirtless body was blue and purple, as if he had suffered some kind of shame, and his entire face was pale as snow, as if he would swallow his last breath in the next moment. I feel pitiful just looking at it. After almost half an hour of duel, Crocodile was very successful in beating Aquino into this look, and without the ability to use sand fruit. So after some venting, Crocodile is now very happy. Phoo. Chaos put down the newspaper, frustrated a cigar and scanned Aquino up and down. This guy is useless except devil fruit. Can't see and hear sex, can't arm sex, let alone the physical skills within the 6 forms. In short, it is a scum. Aquino didn't dare to be hard-hearted now. He just bowed his head and panted, and there were only 2 ways before him. In the end, under the threat of death, he still chose to become his own humiliatingly. Boom boom boom. There was a knock on the door. As Chaos spoke, the hotel manager came in with a doctor who came to heal Aquino. The manager and the doctor left 10 minutes later, coming and going in a hurry. It's just that when I left, my mouth was grinning, and the gold coins in Kabuto were a bit heavy. Now Aquino looks serious, but the real situation is not like that. At least it hadn't reached the kind of dying situation, and it was more or less deliberately pretended by Aquino. A little clever. Lao Sha, I'll leave it to you tonight. Kaios got up from the sofa and walked into another bedroom to rest. There are a lot of people staring at the island from the inside and out, and it is estimated that there will be people who can't help but want to do it. It depends on whether people like Sengoku can arrive overnight, and now they still have to avoid their edge a little, and Chaos is also planning to go to New World. However, it is necessary to stay in the Grand Line for 10.5 days before that, and the world government needs to feel heartache. As for going to New World, it is naturally for pure gold. He has been recalling information about pure gold recently, with a little certainty. Stussy didn't make a call either, so it should have gone well. No problem. Crocodile knows what chaos means, and there is still a tacit understanding. By the way, Tell him about the team's mission and culture, and let him experience it, as long as he doesn't die. How could Chaos fail to see Akino's little nine? Deliberately pretending to be seriously injured and dying is nothing more than paralyzing him, trying to find a chance to escape. Crocodile was a little unhappy, but nodded. After Sows entered the room, Crocodile got rid of what was in front of him, then suffocated the cigar, walked to the sofa where Sows had sat down, and looked at Akino with contempt. Akino was very upset with this expression. It was confirmed that the look in his eyes was someone he couldn't hit. Really frustrated, I said, listen, write it down in the shortest time. As for how much you understand, it depends on your comprehension. Crocodile's contemptuous expression began to become enthusiastic and excited, and he stood up and explained the team's purpose and culture to Akino. It was the same as explained to Stussy, but this time it was more proficient and more exciting. The purpose and culture of our team is very simple. We must first understand what is the purpose of a person's life. Akino didn't care at first, but slowly opened his mouth slightly and stared blankly at Crocodile, who was talking about it. It's ours, it must be ours. Release your nature and live as you please. The essence of life is stimulation and heartbeat. Destiny can be master in his own hands. No one in this world can be more rampant and arrogant than me, and no one can oppress us. Crocodile foamed and splashed, and the more he talked, the more he felt, and Akino stared at Crocodile dumbfounded for an hour. This time, Crocodile also added a lot of his own ideas to the culture of purpose, which is a bit more arrogant and domineering than the version given by Chaos, which is the essence. Obviously Crocodile has been innovating. If things go on like this, it might be better to shoot Chaos on the beach than Blue. Because Crocodile's talk is more deeply rooted in the hearts of the people this time, it adds a lot of softness, contrast, etc. than the crude and straightforward version given by Chaos, and it is very contagious. Looking at Akino's slightly contemplative expression, it is obvious speaking of the heart. After careful consideration, Akino felt that what Crocodile was talking about was life. He is a walking dead now, not alive at all. But how does it feel that there is something wrong? Although what this guy said makes sense, Akino's face was dull, and he began to think about the collision. The more I think about it, the more I feel that I have lived on a dog for so many years, too lazy. There is no goal, no dream, no pursuit. You are not inferior to others, so why can't you become the strong one everyone fears? Do whatever you want, whatever you want. Life now seems too boring. I am unknown in the sea, this shouldn't be myself. His name should ring all over the sea, and it should be recorded in history. Crocodile was a little dry, and pouring himself a glass of red wine didn't bother Akino. Turning his head to look out of the window, Crocodile's eyes are full of stories. Explaining it to Akino, he felt that his soul had also been sublimated and comforted. I didn't know when I started, I had already seen the profound meaning of life and the nature of the world, and the world was still in ignorance, and it seemed that I needed to spread my ideas. This desperate world should also be purified and saved. The hall fell silent all at once. One person's eyes are all expressions of seeing through the truth, while the other is confused and suspicious of life. Little did he know that Chaos in the room was stunned at this time. Shaking cleverly all over, Chaos took a sip of his cigar and subconsciously moved the gold earrings, looking at the wall with weird eyes. Just now Crocodile gave an exquisite explanation, and he heard every word. It is true that Crocodile gets more and more excited as he speaks, and it is hard not to hear it. If he hadn't had the big dye tank through the internet in his previous life, he also felt that what Crocodile said was the truth. It's not right. The more I think about it, the more I feel that Crocodile is engaging in transmission. Please, he is a serious man. This team is also serious. How come you hear Crocodile say this? It seems to be a transmission organization. If this continues, isn't he just passing on the boss? Where is the deviation? However, Crocodile made sense. After his supplement and understanding, the team's mission culture is like having a soul, and it doesn't feel so dry and boring anymore. I can't see that Crocodile has this kind of talent. It is an individual talent that he can even learn by himself without a teacher. Little does he know that the culprit of all this is himself, and he also thinks that Crocodile is self-taught without a teacher, and there is no compulsion at all. But Chaos was still satisfied, and did not intend to correct anything. The night is getting deeper. The crescent moon is hidden in the clouds and appears like a thief from time to time. At the hotel halfway up the mountain, many people squatted in some dark places. A few of them can't live anymore. The Golden Emperor is in the hotel, do it. Yes. Just as a group of people were working on it, in the hotel room. Crocodile was sitting by the window, smoking a cigar and spitting out the smoke ring. He saw that the color had covered the surroundings of the hotel, and he had almost a panoramic view except for some particularly powerful ones. The time has come to test you. Do not disappoint me. Crocodile retracted his gaze to look at Aquino, who was still confused in his thoughts, and his attitude was a lot milder. Now Aquino's reaction has initially met his requirements. Ruzi can teach. Not in vain to waste so much saliva to teach. Ah. Oh. Aquino recovered, but was even more silly than before. Now he hasn't consumed the team mission culture expressed by Crocodile, and there is always a voice in his heart telling him that he can't believe it, but the more he thinks about it, the more it makes sense. Everything the other party said was to his taste. But Aquino was entangled, as if schizophrenic. However, he was not completely brainwashed, but was confused. Or run away? Just take advantage of this opportunity. Aquino took a deep breath, pressed his messed heart, opened the window in one fell swoop and jumped down. Crocodile pinched his cigar with one hand, with an expression of victory in hand. He is not so stupid that Aquino can accept the team's purpose culture once, but this time he is not impatient, but finds the goal in general. Even if Aquino wanted to escape this time, he wouldn't move. He believed that he could use the truth to convince Aquino that fighting and forcing was too rude. Even if he succeeded in the end, Aquino would still be unconvinced, which is not conducive to the harmony of the team. What's more, he is Crocodile, and he doesn't bother to use tough methods. Unless you can't help it. Kill. What? Temperature punch. Shoot and shoot. A burst of screams broke through the night, blood mixed with screams, and added a touch of sweet music to the night. Aquino's husband was not open, and his whole body was as red as a red soldering iron. The heat wave rolled with one punch and kick, and even blocked the attackers. Crocodile stood in front of the window and could smell the meat slightly. It's wonderful. In the bedroom, Kaios had fallen into a light sleep. Even so, seeing and hearing colors cover a radius of 100 meters, as long as there is a threatening aura, he will open his eyes for the first time, but he is not as powerful and detailed as being awake. Ever since his awakening, Chaos has released it all the time, trying to cultivate to the level of Fujitora. When I was tired at first or when I was sleeping, I couldn't let go of seeing, hearing and color. But now that the accumulation of months and months, Chaos has become a habit, but the release is strong and weak around the clock, but it keeps releasing every minute and every second. Don't think it's easy. Strictly speaking, seeing and hearing sex is a kind of mental exhaustion and a very serious burden. That's why sometimes when Chaos really rests and sleeps, he sleeps for several days at a time. There are slack and slack, Kaios still understands this. At the same time, the goddess of a few kilometers high in the sky closed her eyes tightly, standing still like a statue. This also means that Chaos is practicing all the time, whether it is seeing or hearing the color or the golden fruit. This situation is no longer enough to make up for one's weaknesses, but to practice while playing. It can be expected that when all this becomes a real instinct and habit, Chaos will not be able to remain strong. A very simple and rude way of cultivation, but it's a bit cruel to myself. For B, Chaos can pay any price, very cruel. Ah. My hand. Help. Outside, Aquino smashed all sides, and slowly began to take the initiative instead of defending. Just kill farther and farther. Crocodile, standing by the window, swallows the clouds, his eyes are full of playfulness. Slowly, Aquino gradually disappeared into the night, leaving only a lot of pirates looking at each other. Some pirates began to cheer, thinking that they were waiting for Aquino to scare away, and then turned and stared at the hotel with greed. It seems to be too anxious, not deep enough. It will take a while. Looking at the pirates who came round again, Crocodile flicked soot. Aquino's actions were expected. Turning into flying sand, he appeared outside, looking at the pirate Crocodile in all directions with a look of disdain. Aloft as if looking down at the ants. The swastika is flowing behind, the black fur coat is flying, and the big back is even more meticulously combed. It's Crocodile, king of the desert with a reward of 560 million. As long as you kill him, you can catch the Golden Emperor. Come on, brothers. Some pirates may have been stunned by the broken arms and blood on the ground, brandishing long knives and bloody blood, and they didn't even look at Crocodile at all. Kill. Grab the Golden Emperor, the world's greatest wealth. Facing the menacing pirate thugs, Crocodile's face was unwavering, and he landed on the ground and lifted his right foot, dancing wildly with his black leather coat behind him. Erosion reincarnation. Sand Fruit's ability was used, and the ground began to dry up with Crocodile as the center, and everything was deprived of life wherever it went. What? What is this? The pirates rushing forward looked terrified, and fell to the ground one by one, instantly turning into corpses. No one can resist, but there are no more people standing within 100 meters of breathing. Some of the pirates who were far away or had not yet rushed, all swallowed and stood upright. A bunch of scum. easily cleared the 100-meter range. Crocodile was full of rampant, and it also looked pretentiously at some people occupying high points, such as the Reaper, which is fairly decent and powerful pirates. These are smart people. But unlike the ones that just rushed to kill, they were completely cannon fodder. All of them are the same as mentally retarded, and they don't know where the courage comes from thinking that they can catch the Golden Emperor. Wow. Crocodile turned into flying sand, and disappeared into the night in the blink of an eye. He needs to get Aquino back and take another lesson. As for the people around the hotel, it is easy for the boss. Crocodile has never cared about it. He is most interested in teaching Aquino now. On the other side, Aquino rushed quickly, but for some reason he was not as happy as he imagined, but rather a little worried about gains and losses. The team mission culture that Crocodile talks about is all in my mind. Wake up, those goals can be achieved by themselves. Aquino patted his face to make himself sober. Coming to the port, Aquino intends to grab a pirate ship, as far as it is from here. But, a piece of flying sand condensed in the air. Crocodile bit his cigar and looked at Aquino blankly. Where do you want to escape? Aquino's face changed, and he clenched his fists with anger. Temperature punch. Now that the decision has been made, you can't regret it. Aquino also has his own arrogance, and he did it right away. Crocodile didn't have any extra moves, and his right hand clenched a fist to cover the armed color, and the second love education began to take place. As the sun rises, the golden sunrise gradually dyes the eastern sky red, and a new day has arrived. Chaos yawned and walked out of the bedroom, looking at the situation in the living room with a slight stun. Aquino sat weakly on the sofa, with a blue nose and a swollen face. On the opposite side, Crocodile was talking endlessly, using his power to form a Russell panel, and some drawings appeared on it along with the eloquent explanation. Compared to the situation where Aquino would die at any time, Crocodile was energetic, and his eyes were more intense than ever. Aquino really wanted to die now. After he was caught last night, Crocodile fisted him. The key was only a flesh wound, and then he caught him back and continued to clean up the pirate thugs in the dark. One night, wave after wave of attacks. After each event, I feel a little exhausted. But the point is that this man didn't let him go, and kept teaching him. From the beginning of the team's mission and culture, I call myself a thinker when I talk about it. Aquino even had a heart of death. He really couldn't stand it anymore. Both the body and the spirit have suffered double ravages, so that now the spirit is beginning to trance, and there are ghosts in front of him. Boss, early. Crocodile just said hello, and then prepared to continue to teach Aquino. He likes the feeling of teaching people. Especially instilling one's own truth into others, it is very fulfilling. You haven't rested last night. Chaos looked at Aquino. This guy was in a sudden death rhythm. There are too many guys who can't help themselves, but they are all solved. Crocodile nodded, and wave after wave of attacks last night, killing at least a few hundred people. Now outside the hotel, mummy, broken arms, and burnt corpses abound. Boss, I think the team mission culture is not perfect. I have added some of my own ideas. Come over and listen to some comments. Crocodile was a little bit stunned, and planned to teach Chaos also. Chaos was taken aback for a moment, and then his eyes looked wrong at Crocodile. Overnight, this guy seemed to get away. Is this going to correct his thinking? Good. Kaios was sitting on the sofa. He wanted to see if Crocodile was really hacking and getting too fast. He can't keep up with the rhythm. K. Wake up. Crocodile slapped Aquino on the head, forcibly waked the sleepy Aquino, and then began to explain the team's purpose and culture. At first it sounded no problem. It's nothing more than what Chaos said is pretending, arrogant, high profile, arrogant, and so on. Be free and do whatever you want. But then the more and more Chaos listened, the more things were wrong. Crocodile, this guy actually began to analyze the truth, like a magic stick from the basis of wealth, power, fame, women, etc. to extend the flicker. Also cite Liezi to make sense. The point is that you are still right. People can't stop the blood boiling, as if the world is revolving around itself. There is nothing you can't do by yourself. FCK grin. Chaos's eyes are getting more and more wrong. K Lao Sha is a genius. It turned out that there was really no teacher to go on the road. Although the forms are different, the core idea is to surround wealth, power, fame, women, desires, etc. This is not transmission. For an entire hour, Crocodile was talking about it. Chaos was silent, not knowing whether to be happy or to be worried. The dignified 55 players turned out to be the leader of the pass. This. Boss. I think the title of thinker is suitable for me, and do you have anything to add? Do you need me to explain it a few more times? Crocodile took up a glass of water on the desk and drank it. moistening his throat and looking at the slightly weird-looking Chaos. Happiness. Chaos clapped his hands and gave Crocodile a thumbs up. Old Shaw, I admit that I underestimated you. You are a genius. Thinkers and brainwashing experts are suitable for you. Chaos didn't discourage Crocodile's enthusiasm. Originally, his idea was simple and rude, but after Crocodile's modification, he suddenly became tall and literate. Who would have thought that Crocodile had this talent? Forcing the grid to rise to a level. Indeed, I feel that my soul has been sublimated. I now understand many things that I didn't understand before, and I am no longer muddled in a wake. Crocodile is not modest at all. Boss, I think the ones I just talked about are still a bit flawed. Let's do it again. Crocodile is very excited now, and it feels like 10 days and 10 nights will do. No, you continue to teach him. Chaos left the sofa to wash up. Crocodile is a bit crazy now. Fortunately, he has experienced the information explosion and internet dying tank in his previous life, and has enjoyed 9 years of compulsory education. Otherwise, this team will become a younger brother, and Crocodile will become a boss. This guy was fine before, but how did he change all of a sudden? Faster than flipping a book. Surprised. Alright. Crocodile was still unfinished, and planned to have time to continue discussing with Chaos. Then Aquino's nightmare came. Because Crocodile once again started the duck-filling brainwashing, as if to engrave everything in the soul of Aquino. At this moment, 2 pirate boats docked at the coast. As soon as they appeared, the surrounding pirates exclaimed, even fearful. Just because the pirate flag is from the Flying Pirate Group. That's right, it's Shinso, the captain of the 19th Fleet of the Flying Pirates, Halbertson, and the mummified Algao, the captain of the 17th Fleet. It is estimated that it is for the Golden Emperor. I didn't expect it to come so soon. The whole port was alarmed. Regardless of whether it is Shinso or the mummy, the reward is over 300 million Baileys, and he is also the captain of the Flying Pirate Group. It is not a secret that the Flying Pirate Group also wants to capture the Golden Emperor. Good luck this time. We even met the Golden Emperor. Last time the Jelly Queen and the Lone Wolf weren't caught, we really lost our face. Shinso Halbertson was a thin man in a strong outfit, carrying a sniper rifle on his back and a few pistols pinned to his waist. The mummy Algao next to him is even more personal. He is covered in white bandages, with only one pair of eyes falling outside. He is actually a mummy. The two happened to be not far from the volcanic island, but the clippers rushed for the night. The screen shifted. After washing in the hotel, Chaos planned to go out to eat something. Crocodile didn't plan to follow. Now his greater interest is to give Aquino a thought class. The latter is already beginning to collapse. Chaos also ignored the two, walking out of the hotel alone, and he could smell a pungent smell as soon as he went out. Obviously a problem left over from the battle last night. Boom boom boom. There was a sonic boom from the sky, 4 golden warriors landed, and a golden throne sedan appeared. Chaos sat off the ground, and then the 4 golden warriors carried them towards the foot of the mountain. A lot of attention along the way. All kinds of envy, jealous, greedy and jealous pirate thugs are all ready to move. The appearance of the Golden Emperor swaggering through the market is like an undressed beauty leading them in a ditch, and many people have spurted blood and high blood pressure. Damn it. Too annoyed. Before the Golden Emperor came to the volcanic island, everything was so harmonious. But since the emergence of the Golden Emperor, the atmosphere of the entire island has changed. But it is undeniable that over time, the island's economy has actually risen. This may be the only role of the Golden Emperor to stimulate economic growth. Now on the street, whether it is a pirate or a mob, even a civilian beggar is staring at the guy who swaggered through the city. Under the sun, whether it is the Golden Warrior or the throne sedan chair, the golden light shines everywhere. Breathing aggravated the boiling blood. This is a naked temptation. Many thugs and hooligans are all ready to move, their eyes can't wait to be attached, they are light as if they are hungry and thirsty. Chaos sat on the golden throne, enjoying the eye of envy, jealousy, and hatred as always, which was very impressive. Especially the look in the eyes that wanted to kill him but didn't dare to make a move. Call out. Suddenly, the sound of breaking through the air, a bullet shuttled through the alleys and crowds, and shot Chaos's forehead accurately and quickly. If ordinary people don't know how to die. But when Chaos turned his head between the sparks and flints, the golden throne was shot through, leaving a finger hole, and plumes of white smoke were coming out. With the hardness of the golden throne, even if it does not cover the armed color, the hardness is far higher than that of ordinary steel, but now it is penetrated by a small bullet. Very thrilling. Chaos looked indifferent, looked across the street, and accurately saw the attacker on a tall building. I'm quite capable, I found my place so quickly. 10,000 meters away, the captain of the 19th Fleet of Flying Pirates, Shinso Halbertson, looked at Chaos facing him through the sniper binoculars, and pulled the trigger with disdain on his face. Obviously it was just one shot, but 3 bullets were fired. It flew like streamers one after another, and finally passed through various obstacles accurately and shot towards Chaos' forehead, throat and heart. With this gun, and the accuracy of the bullet trajectory, it is enough to show that Halbertson is indeed a grandmaster firearms player. It is worth mentioning that the bullets are made by Seastone and are covered with armed colors. This is fatal to demon fruit power. Ding ding. The dazzling sparks continued to splash, and Chaos didn't even move, but 3 branches spread from the golden throne, blocking all 3 bullets in one fell swoop. Seeing and hearing color is not about eating dry food. Someone shot the Golden Emperor. It's a sniper. 2 consecutive shots made the pirate mobs excited in the dark, and the shot was a sniper. I looked around and didn't find it. Obviously a master. Many people's knowledge of the Golden Emperor is through the news. Even if the corpses lying in the hotel were only killed by the King of the Desert, the specific combat effectiveness of the Golden Emperor is not clear. Now that there is a temptation, it is just what they want. If the Golden Emperor is just a silver-like wax-gun head that doesn't look good, then they will inevitably fall into trouble. The wheezing became heavier for a while. Brother, do we want to make a move? There are 2 people not far away, brothers, pirate hunters. Once appeared in Sabodi Archipelago. The eldest brother, the Glass King, Rosefts, and the younger brother, the Agate King, Hakeftes. Hold on. The IQ of the elder brother Glass King is obviously higher than that of his younger brother Onyx King, so he intends to wait and see first. There are also familiar people like Reaper Thesis and Maker Kakat who have this idea. In just one night, all the pirates or pirate hunters near the volcanic island came. This was only a handful of people, and there were more and more powerful behind. Chaos is still a piece of fragrant old bacon, the kind made of gold. Snapped. Chaos snapped his fingers, and the sky that was originally clear was dark, and he saw a 100-meter-long Fangtian painted halberd, which fell from the sky like an artifact from the sky, tearing the eardrum and shooting at Shinso's hand halberd in one fell swoop. Senator. Simply and neatly without leaving the water. It's really terrible. Algao is up to you. Halbertson on the tall building did not panic. He looked at the menacing Fangtian painted halberds. Without looking at Chaos, the sniper rifle shot out 10 bullets at random, forming a tiger in the air. Roared and rushed towards Chaos. Marksmanship has reached extremely high attainments. As Halbertson's words fell, a figure appeared out of thin air, facing the flying halberd Fangtian, grabbing the long knife at his waist with his right hand, and bowed his head and was covered in white bandages all over his body. Groan. Broken blade. The plain tone of the name of the move, cold light shines. A bright slash is twice as large as Fangtian's painted halberd, and it tears through the atmosphere and slashes toward Fangtian's painted halberd. In an instant, a blast of air pressure turned into an invisible halo radiation, and Fangtian's painting halberd was blown out and stood in the air, while the mummy Algao slammed on the tall building and moved back continuously. On the Chaos side, a golden warrior turned into a sharp sword and defeated the bullet tiger head-on. That seems to be the mummy Algao, the captain of the 17th Fleet of the Flying Pirates, who is offering a reward of 480 million, is a swordsman. There is also Shinso, the captain of the 19th Fleet, Albertson, who is offering a reward of 367 million. I didn't expect it to be these 2 big shots. When many pirates were amazed, Chaos burned a cigar and suddenly disappeared from his seat, and appeared in midair in one fell swoop. At the same time, the 4 golden warriors, the golden throne and the 100-meter square painted halberd all turned into all kinds of parts collided in front of Chaos. Just now Shinso hand Halbertson gave him an inspiration. In addition to the most basic lethality, Chaos develops the golden fruit. What is more pursued is the bells and whistles. In short, the appearance is gorgeous, and it doesn't matter if you don't see it. But the appearance must be arranged. Ding ding ding. Chang chang. What is the Golden Emperor doing? Not sure. Countlessly watching Chaos stepping on the moonwalk, various parts of gold continued to form in front of him, and they began to assemble in the collision. Slowly everyone opened their mouths slightly, and their faces were dumbfounded. Because when all the sounds disappeared, a handful of 100-meter-long golden Gatling appeared, and Chaos pointed it in the direction of Shinso's hand and the mummy in one fell swoop. Compared with Gatlin's body size, Chaos has the feeling of ant resistance, but the impact is very shocking. At this time, Chaos was holding a cigar in his mouth, and a vertical hair and gold earrings fluttered in the wind. The golden goose feather coat and golden light wheel behind him were full of hockey and the sacred, like a fairy Buddha carrying Gatlin. The contrast is too big. Try Lousy's newly developed moves, there is no Gatlin in the south. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, and the barrel of Gatlin's gun barrel was dyed with arms and turned black and gold. After slowly turning, he shot out a large golden rain in vain, all of which were hair-sized golden needles, piercing the air and disappearing in a blink of an eye. Wipe. Shinso's hand Halbertson and Mummy Algao changed their faces for the first time, and they were almost distracted by the appearance of the Golden Emperor. Da da da, the two of them quickly disappeared in place, and then the brilliance of golden light came one after another. The whole building was shot into a sieve, and the dust suddenly became dense. In fact, this trick of chaos is totally unnecessary. After all, Gatling can directly become a golden needle, instead of deliberately letting Gatling spit it out. But gorgeousness is justice. Da da da. With lush firepower overwhelming the sky, Chaos dangling a cigar to show his bossy temperament, the gold Gatling in his hand rotates at a super high speed, and the ejected gold needle is more lethal than a bullet. The dense dust continued to expand, and the Mummy and Shinso flee from opposite directions. For this reason, Chaos could only shoot at one person. He chose the sword magnate Mummy Algao. Call out. Shinso's hand began to counterattack. The sniper scopes in his hand didn't need to be aimed. The bullets were as tricky and venomous as Lion Majesty, but they were of no use to Chaos. Gatling raised a golden shield. No matter where Shinso's hand attacked, he could block it. Damn it. The pressure of the Mummy was great, and it ran fast on the roof, and the torrential rain pear needles chased after him, and could only issue passive defensive slashes from time to time. As for attacking Chaos, it was simply unrealistic. Bang bang bang. Shinso's hand flew and attacked here, but Chaos didn't pull it, so he caught the Mummy's wool. Carrying Gatling and chasing behind the Mummy, 100-meter-long Gatling fired. As Gatling fired, it became smaller and smaller, but as the golden needles returned to the cage, it came and went like infinite bullets, and it was misty wherever he went. The Mummy is also called a dog. The whole body's hair exploded, as if seeing the Nahi Bridge. A crescent-shaped slash came up from the ground, but it was worn away by the golden needle before it came to Chaos. Halbertson. The Mummy roared. He had been shot with a few golden needles, all passing through the body. Bloodline has begun to appear on the body, and the golden needles are actually wrapped in armed colors. Asshole. Shinso's hand is even more angry than the Mummy, because Chaos completely ignores him, and no matter how he shoots bullets, he will be blocked by the golden shield. The contempt of the Golden Emperor just now was a mental attack. He has been shot through thousands of holes. Some spectators watching from a distance are all silent now. It can be seen that the Golden Emperor is carrying 100 May Gatlin and chasing after the Mummy Algao da da da, who can only passively defend, and a sword tyrant is so crushed to death. The Shinso hand Halbertson chased behind the Golden Emperor, jumping up and down without breaking the spear, but the Golden Emperor was like a tortoise, unable to break through the defense. The strength of the Golden Emperor was somewhat beyond their imagination. Fatal blow. Shinso's hand Halbertson suddenly appeared in the air, looking at Chaos, who was constantly chasing the Mummy in the distance. His eyes closed for a moment and then suddenly opened, and the whole world seemed to be quiet. The air moved and the wind swept across. The colors seen and heard slowly rippling out like invisible waterlines. The sniper rifle aimed at Chaos in one fell swoop, and the entire body of the gun was covered with armed color. In an instant, the feeling of being stared at by Lion Majesty made Chaos turn his head. Halbertson took it seriously and used the most powerful marksmanship. There was no sound, and no bullets could even be seen, but Chaos was completely golden, dyed in armed color and iron body, and turned into a black golden figure. The golden shield was pierced, and a bullet hit Chaos' forehead, causing Chaos to tilt his head back. Did you make it? With a simple blow, it seemed to consume all the energy of Shinso's hand. Looking at Chaos, who was tilting his head back, his eyes were cold. It's now, Yanfan. The mummified Algao, who had been suppressed to death, was full of silent sword energy, and the whole person turned into a streamer and slammed back and forth with a carbine, as if a black thread rushed towards Chaos. Probably because Shinso's bullets were made of sea stone, so the golden fruit was temporarily invalid when it hit Chaos. For this reason, Nanmo Gatling began to fall off Chaos, and the goldenization also disappeared. Only the pure armed color and iron body were left to defend. The golden house thousands of meters high in the sky also began to fall like a meteor, but it looks big, but it's actually very thin. Because it contained some daily necessities, as the golden fruit temporarily disappeared, it lost control and began to fall. The opportunity that the Mummy was looking for was just right. The Golden Emperor now had the hatch opened, and when he didn't do anything, he waited. He has even seen the scene of the Golden Emperor's head flying away. As for the live catch, I can't think of so much. Hoo-hoo. Time slowed down at this moment. The long knife in the Mummy's hand released a cold light, and it was constantly approaching Chaos's back neck, but there was no sign of warning from Chaos's body rising up a large amount of white steam. In the mummy's grinning eyes, his head straightened up, his eyes looked at him with a smile. In an instant, the hairs of hair exploded, and a cold air rushed to the mummy tinling cover. The big black hand grabbed the long knife like lightning, and before the mummy could react, an unprecedented force hit the abdomen, and the whole internal organs seemed to be mixed together at that moment. The green veins burst on the mummy's face, and the eyeballs were tearing the orbital wall and the flesh was bloodshot. He couldn't help but bowed his body and sprayed blood from his nose and mouth, almost unable to breathe. How can it be? On the forehead of Chaos, the seastone bullet stuck to it, not even the skin was broken. Despite losing the golden layer of defense, Chaos still has armed color and iron body. What's more, the bullet has passed the golden shield defense first, so the damage caused only makes Chaos temporarily unable to use the golden fruit. Too weak. Just a punch temporarily shocked the mummy's body, and Chaos pinched his neck with one hand and lifted the mummy in midair. Click. With a gentle force, the mummy's neck crooked, and the blood-filled eyes were full of fear. Spike. As long as it is caught, there is no backhand. Bang bang bang. 5 bullets connected in a line, tearing the eardrum and rushing towards Chaos's throat. Shinso shot. But it was still a step too late. Just now, the Golden Emperor was still fighting slowly, but the next moment he was swift and clean. He strangled the mummy without giving people time to react. This contrast was a little unacceptable. Huh. Chaos disappeared out of thin air, appeared 10 meters away, pinching the seastone bullet on his forehead, and then looked at Shinso's hand with an ugly face in the distance, full of contempt. Small vultures dared to make a fool of themselves. He flicked the seastone bullet and stopped the golden house falling from the sky. As soon as Chaos reached out his hand, Nanwu Gatling, who had fallen to the ground, merged with his right hand and instantly turned into a golden dragon with teeth and claws. At the same time, Chao Feng's BGM resounded with great enthusiasm across the sky. The audience suffocated. The various blind operations of the Golden Emperor are really too pretentious. If*K. High blood pressure is on the rise for anyone who can handle it. Dewei Tianlong. The golden dragon's tail was connected to Chaos's right hand, and the fierce dragon's head bit towards Shinso's hand in one swoop. The whole golden dragon was lifelike, and its body was soft and flowing, without the hard feeling before. Boom. When the surrounding ground exploded, Shinso's hand jumped out of the dense dust and raised his sniper rifle for a shot. Chaos gently raised his hand, and the golden dragon suddenly shot out golden spikes, without dead ends and no signs. Even if Shinso's hand evaded for the first time, it was penetrated by a spike. Just such a pause means the end of the battle. All the golden spikes turned into tributaries, and Shinso's hands were rolled up in one fell swoop, leaving only one head outside, and finally returned to the posture of the dragon spitting beads. As for the seastone bullet that had just been fired, Chaos's left hand covered the armed color and knocked it into the air. BGM also stopped abruptly. There is no pressure at the end of the battle. It's neat and neat without leaving any water. It is very smooth in one go, and has a pleasing sense of sight. One is offering a reward of 480 million, and the other is offering a reward of 367 million. It is the swordsman and Shinso, who can cooperate seamlessly in close combat or long-range combat, and the combat effectiveness of the two is directly doubled. But it was so defeated. The needle falling in the audience can be heard at the moment. Many pirate thugs watch the scene in midair, swallowing with mixed flavors. Whether you admit it or not, the Golden Emperor does have a few brushes. The key to defeating the two in such a short period of time is that the fighting style is very gorgeous. Especially annoying. The more I look, the more unpleasant. I really wanted to stab him to death with a knife. However, I have to admire the Golden Emperor, who really dared to kill the mummy and Shinso. You must know that these two were the fleet captains of the flying pirates. There are only a handful of people on the sea who dare to be so unscrupulous not to give the flying pirates face. In the eyes of many people, it was entirely luck that the Golden Emperor was able to escape from Sabodi archipelago. Brother, shall we do it? Agate King Hakeftes was enthusiastic and asked his elder brother Glass King Rose's FTS again. He seemed to have some problems with his head and his IQ was a bit low. Can't beat it. The elder brother Glass King was self-aware. Whether it was Shinso's hands or mummies, the rewards were on them. Although he was confident that he could kill both of them, he still murmured in his heart because the Golden Emperor solved it too easily. That fancy battle seemed very powerful. I listened to my brother. The Agate King was stupid, and his elder brother asked him to do whatever he wanted, because they were brothers. Wait for the opportunity first. The Glass King nodded. Although this stupid brother is more powerful than him, he still listens to his words and loves him very much. There must be a lot of people who want to catch the Golden Emperor. He doesn't plan to be the first bird. Instead, he planned to wait to see if the mantis hunted the cicada or oriole and picked up a seriously injured Golden Emperor. The abacus can be said to be clinking. There are many others who have the same idea as these two brothers. Call out. After leaving a piece of gold, all that was left merged into the goddess and stood in the air, sacred and inviolable, and disappeared quickly after flying into the sky. Looking at the remaining gold, Chaos snapped his fingers, and immediately after the gold began to deform, it finally formed a golden sports car Lamborghini, full of lines, three-dimensionality and layering. As soon as they appeared, the secret pirate thugs opened their mouths slightly. The Emperor of Gold has played a trick with gold. Where is so much inspiration? And it looks good and gorgeous. Chang chang. With a roar of the golden leather, the golden Lamborghini started to run. Chaos sat on the cab, with his left hand on the steering wheel, his right hand deflated cigar leaning against the car door, and spitting smoke rings toward the other street. Wherever he went, he looked at the dumb pirate thugs with contempt on their faces. Poor ghosts. The rear of the car disappeared, leaving behind a group of pirate thugs whose faces were gradually turning red and blue, gnashing their teeth and violent muscles. Deceive people too much. Too humiliating. Captain, don't hold me, I'm going to stab the Golden Emperor to death. Damn it. Actually said we are poor ghosts. I want to be at odds with him. If it's a brother, then go with me to kill him. Lamborghini jumped up and down everywhere, yelling everywhere. At the same time, the deaths of Shinso's hands and mummies also began to spread from the volcanic island, and gradually radiated out to the outside world. Oh. After all, I became a person I hate, fragrant. After a stroll outside, showing off his wealth in a very cliché manner, Chaos drove the Lamborghini back to the hotel on the mountainside. In just such an hour, he ran through the streets of the volcanic island, and the hatred value was up to the max. Even ordinary people can't wait to kill him. There were also people with short eyes on the way, but these people were all nailed to the ground by weapons from the sky, some gold coins were dropped, and someone came out to wash the ground automatically, and the city appearance was not affected. Now Chaos is in a good mood, turning around to attract a wave of envy, his vanity is comforted, and he feels comfortable all over. Lao Sha, you are too much. Opening the door and entering the room, Chaos found that Crocodile was still teaching Aquino. Aquino looked like he would foam at his mouth at any time. Boss, I just added something new, so you can listen to it together. Crocodile's eyes visibly lit up when he saw Chaos coming back. Brainwashing Aquino, bah. During the lecture, he also perfected himself, which was equivalent to review, and found a lot of small flaws. It happened that Chaos could explain it again when he came back. Please, let me sleep alone. Without waiting for Chaos to answer, Aquino threw himself at Chaos's feet with a look of despair, crying heartbroken, as if grabbing a life-saving straw. He is almost schizophrenic. Both the mind and the body have suffered unprecedented ravages, and I really can't stand it anymore. He now wants to squat alone in the corner, with his hands on his knees, to cut off from the world. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to be in contact with the outside world. I just want to stay in my own world. Chaos pursed his mouth and looked at Aquino, who was desperate for life, as if he was autistic. It seemed that the trauma in his heart was not light. Looking up at Crocodile, who was still excited, Chaos was really impressed. Boss, let me tell you. Stop. Reaching out and rubbing his forehead, he felt Crocodile fascinated. He even wanted to brainwash him. Is this intending to preach on the path of transmission? FCK grin. Let him rest, and it will not be too late to teach him when he wakes up. If you continue like this, he will really be tortured to death by you. Always give others some breathing space. Since meeting Aquino, it seems that this guy has never rested. The physical trauma is fine, but now Crocodile has not let go of the spirit, it is really frantic. Oh, what he does. Crocodile didn't hold Aquino, but instead set his sights on Chaos. Okay. You also go to rest. Recharge your energy and regain your energy, you may have some trouble next. Chaos was really a little bit agitated, although he had confidence in himself, but if he was taken astray by Crocodile, it was worth it. But he is in charge. Passing on this thing, I have to admit that it's really a bit overwhelming. Boss, let me tell you. Crocodile didn't intend to give up, but now he was very enthusiastic and excited. Yep. Chaos's face gradually cooled, his nasal voice aggravated. Crocodile is a bit lost now, and has violated his meaning time and time again. He is the real talker of this organization, and Crocodile has overstepped it. Originally, the team developed well, but after Crocodile's work, he actually embarked on a pass. Seeing that this is going further and further, he didn't say anything. Now it is even more swollen than him. It is necessary to make this guy sober, understood. At the cold gaze of chaos, Crocodile suddenly awakened a lot. The heart palpitated all at once. What happened just now? It seems something is wrong with me. Take a good rest, I think you are a bit fascinated. Chaos's face returned to normal, and he sat on the sofa with his feet on the desk, igniting a cigar and spit out a cigarette ring. As Crocodile and Aquino went to rest, Chaos went to the hot springs after smoking his cigar. He intends to leave the island in the afternoon. You can't lose your career, Happy Island. A drunken fan, a paradise for men and women. The most famous is the red light district on this island, as well as various casinos and other entertainment measures. It is one of the favorite islands of many nobles, pirates, government officials, wealthy merchants, etc. Gyuki Snake God. As long as you have money, you will enjoy heavenly service. In the so-called red light district, the first thing that comes to mind is geisha or love, which is true. But here is not only geisha, but also male RJ. There is no shortage of stars and so on, young, mature, sexy, hot, strong women, and other temperament men, can spend this spring festival. The Queen of Joy used to dominate the island, but recently there have been some problems. That is, unidentified forces have attacked the red light district, assassinations, betrayals, and threats have caused serious setbacks on the island's business. I don't know how many forces are fighting for those rich industries. The Queen of Joy is the Golden Emperor, and it is no secret to many forces. But it is only a minority, because there are not many people who know the Queen of Joy, and only those who have business with the red light district are considered to know the true identity and true face of the Queen of Joy. Few people in the sea now associate the Happy Queen in charge of the red light district with the Happy Queen under the Golden Emperor. To put it bluntly, the reputation is not very loud. Boom. A huge explosion came out in vain from a complex of buildings, billowing flames and black smoke lifted into the air, and a corpse lying on the broken ground. Various weapons and broken arms were seen everywhere. Stussy, your betrayal of the world government will not end well. In the tattered ruined wall, there were more than a dozen men and women kneeling. At the front were two CP9s, but now they were pale and dying, and their bodies were all wounded. On the opposite side, Stussy was embarrassed. Spring is full of torn dresses, blood is overflowing at the corners of her mouth, and her hands are blood red, all of the blood she once had under her. Behind Stussy are Guy Simi, Lily, and Kokus. The situation of the three women is more serious than Stussy, but the pale faces are full of joy. Because they won. There were also mobs with knives and guns around, but these were loyal to Stussy. After parting with Chaos, Stussy brought Guy Simi's three daughters to Happy Island as quickly as possible. She wanted to clean up the door, and she had dealt with all those who had betrayed by her subordinates. The more than a dozen men and women in front of her are her former subordinates, and their positions are more important, but they have all betrayed and become CP9's minions. Some people are now begging for mercy, and some are yelling at Stussy. But none of this caused Stussy to cause waves. If it weren't for these two CP9s, she could easily deal with these people. You know she is now demon fruit power. She's now embarrassed, and she was injured by accidentally underestimating the enemy, and she was careless. Stussy, I was wrong. Let us go. We were also forced. Someone begged for mercy, but didn't want to die. But Stussy had a cold face and flicked her fingers to form a finger pistol, killing all of them without leaving them. In the end, there were only two CP9s left, very cold-blooded and cruel. Unlike Stussy, who is next to Chaos, Stussy is now cruel. Among those killed, some have been with her for more than 10 years, but they have become corpses at this moment. Guy Simi, Lily, Kokus, you go to rectify. Let the people below know that I am back, and any betrayal during this time will be cleaned up, a reward for merit. Stussy retracted his gaze from the two CP9s with a queen fan. It can also be regarded as hockey side leakage. Being able to control such a huge industry in the underground world, Stussy relies not on her appearance, but on means and strength. Otherwise, she would not use this rough method as soon as she came back, because she was very confident in herself. Just like her self-confidence, the red light district of Happy Island is not too bad, and it can take a little time to regain control, but the branch red light districts on other islands around the world will take longer to clean up. Ends. Yes. Guy Simi and the three daughters left with each other. After the three women left, the two CP9s also fell to the ground. Two blood holes appeared on his forehead. Stussy, the Golden Emperor can't protect you. The weaker and weaker voice came to an abrupt end, stopping Stussy, who had turned and left. Stussy raised her slender fingers and swept the hair from her forehead to the base of her ears. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "My mother is on the thief boat. It is not easy to get off the boat, but that kind of life is really interesting, at least not so boring." Feel free to experience the mystery of life as you like. Pooh. These two stupid men. Stussy smiled suddenly. It's just that there are 2 hints of helplessness, 3 hints of sadness, and 5 hints of doubt in the smile. Since meeting those 2 men, her whole body has gone bad. The heartbeat and stimulation are stronger than before, but inexplicably very excited. There seems to be something latent in the body being opened, and I don't know whether it is good or bad. After all, it is the face value, there's really no way. So melancholy. Stepping on high heels, the corners of Stussy's mouth jumped and disappeared into the ruined wall. On this day, the entire happy island was not very peaceful. But in that distant cloud layer, a black shadow was approaching quickly with the sound of breaking through the air, and it would not be long before it would reach Happy Island. At the same time, the volcanic island, approaching 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Kaios was sitting on the sofa drinking coffee, Crocodile smoking a cigar vigorously. Only Akino's sleepy eyes could not help his head. Just a few hours of dormancy, it was impossible to relieve his spirit. Even when he was sleeping, he dreamed that Crocodile would teach him again. It's crazy. Boss, are we leaving? Crocodile spit out smoke rings, his big back was meticulously tidied up. Well, we still can't give up our business. Although there is no news from Stussy, we can't give up pressure on the world government. Chaos nodded. According to the method of hurting each other, he believed that the first person who could not bear it was the world government. Wake up. Crocodile slapped Akino's head, making him a little more sober. But Akino still looked a little distracted, and the tiredness could be felt from far away. Physique is too weak. Chaos frowned. If Akino's devil fruit has a strong physique, I believe it can exert greater power. After resting for several hours, it hasn't recovered. If he only needs a full meal, he can live a life. It seems that I need to teach it a lot. As for whether it can bear it, it doesn't matter to him. Anyway, if you die, you die. Get ready to leave. Chaos stood up and stretched out, but he stretched halfway to look at the window in vain, and then his face was full of interest. It's really fast. He couldn't help but squeezed his chin, and Chaos made a decision in his heart that it was time for the 3rd place Logia to join the team. At the same time, Crocodile also found out. Many pirate thugs stalking outside also looked up to the sky. A golden light flew from the sky, and finally appeared in the air, revealing a figure. Old Ape, long time no see. Sows frustrated a cigar and walked out of the hotel first. He looked up at Pelusalino in midair. He was a little bit ill-intentioned with a smile. Crocodile was also dangling a cigar behind him, but looked at Pelusalino a little hostile. As for Akino, the spirit is still in a trance. It seems to be caught in a self-perception disorder. Pelusalino fell from midair, dressed in a suit and a dog-like figure, wearing a black hat, and holding a cigarette with both hands and gloves. He was a little displeased with the name Chaos. What the hell is the old ape? Are you familiar? Now he can't wait to put this guy and impel down. The relationship between the two is very bad. Emperor Golden, you are terrible these days. Perusalino has no hippie smiley face, on the contrary is very serious. He still remembers the small loss he took carelessly. Don't care about the details. How about it? Do you want to be the most arrogant man in the world with me? Chaos tapped his cigar, his goose feather coat and golden halo fluttering behind his back, with a sense of haughty and arrogance. I said, I'm not interested in being a pirate. Perusalino looked cold, stretched out his index finger and began to flash a cross-shaped flash. Social my ape brother, people don't say much. As for the order given above to hold the Golden Emperor, Pelusalino directly ignored it. He is confident that he can catch the Golden Emperor and his accomplices by himself. Old ape, don't be so impatient, everyone is brothers, sit down and have a good chat. Call out. Rumble. A golden light was fleeting, a huge explosion soared into the sky, billowing flames and black smoke spread, and a strand of black hair fell to the ground with Chaos tilted his head, and the tavern behind him turned into ruins. The golden goose feather coat and the black fur coat were all flying in the strong wind. Both Chaos and Crocodile are very calm, smoking a cigar to pinch the temperament of the boss. Akino shuddered, and recovered from self-doubt, only to feel a heat wave from behind, almost being blown off, and Crocodile reached out and pressed his shoulder in an emergency. The pirate thugs watching around, all watched with breathlessness. Marine's 3 rookies are now well known in the sea, and Pelusalino is naturally recognized. Foo. Sows breathed out the smoke ring, his grinning face gradually faded, and he turned his head to look at Pelusalino. It seems that we need the brainwashing role in our team to send warmth. I believe you will be very willing to join this big family. Crocodile didn't speak, and shook his big back haircut. He knew that he was responsible for the brainwashing of Kaios. Don't ask why. Asking is instinct. Anyhow, after being together for so long, the two sides still have a tacit understanding. Bang bang bang. The sound of tearing eardrums came from the sky, and the locks of the sky with thick arms, like a javelin nailed to the ground, quickly gathered in rows and turned to birdcage. Old Shaw, Oldton, let's go together. A large amount of white smoke rose up all over Chaos, and disappeared as the ground under his feet exploded. He would forcibly grab Pelusalino and hand it to Crocodile for brainwashing. As for Wuda, stop making trouble. Sengoku may be coming here. Perusalino probably used it to hold him. This is not because Sabodi Archipelago has celestial dragons as a shield. Chaos will not be stupid. He will be tough with Sengoku without hostages. If he dares to do so, he will definitely go to impel down to drink tea, and even become a slave of celestial dragons. One wrong step, waiting for him is the endless abyss. So in the absence of a retreat, Chaos would not be so impulsive. Arrogance returns to arrogance, but fate must come first. This is a matter of principle and there is no discussion. Crocodile still didn't speak, but immediately turned into flying sand and disappeared in place. What? Aquino was a little dumbfounded. Oldton should have called him. Do you want to run away now? But when he saw the rows of locks of heaven nailed to the ground, Aquino gave up. His whole body was hot like a luminous body, and his body temperature continued to rise and rushed out. Crocodile's enhanced team mission culture is still beginning to influence after all. As early as the lock of the sky descended from the sky, Pelusalino disappeared elementally. He has suffered a loss once, how could he have eaten twice? As long as the space is large enough, he can be invincible. The golden rays of light condensed in the air, completely avoiding the shackles of birdcage. Perusalino stretched out his index finger, a laser shot out, and the sky burned and exploded. Except for Aquino, which was slightly affected, Chaos and Crocodile appeared almost one after another in midair and attacked. Only Pelusalino escaped again. The speed of the old ape is not covered, it is real. Click. The clear sky began to dim, and black and red lightning was shrouded in black clouds. Conquerors radiated with Chaos as the center, and the mountains and the sea were unstoppable. With the emergence of special effects in the dark, a majestic BGM, the invincible BGM that the Buddha blocks and kills the Buddha, and the God blocks and kills the gods began to resound all over the world, quieting most of the volcanic island in one fell swoop. Battle Cry BGM. Flight of the Silver Bird. I don't know if it was an illusion. Under this BGM, Crocodile and Aquino trembled, their auras suddenly raised, and the blood all over their bodies was boiling. No one can beat them in this BGM. Honeyjuice is confident and infinitely swelling. Chaos stepped forward and collided with Pelusalino head on, and the two flew out at the same time. At this moment, Crocodile and Aquino appeared. Temperature Punch. Sha Lan. Skycong Yunjian. Facing the attack of the two, Pelusalino appeared with a lightsaber with one hand, blocking the attack of the two and turning into golden light to fall to the ground. The billowing smoke was broken through. Pelusalino appeared in front of Aquino, kicked out of the center of Aquino's waist, and the sound of bone cracking came in an instant, and Aquino's facial features were twisted into streamers, which penetrated 5 or 6 in one fell swoop. The street was lying in ruins. Just a kick made Aquino lose the power to act. Puff, however, at this moment Pelusalino's body halted, and a golden long sword pierced his chest. Chaos appeared without warning, holding the hilt with one hand and his face was full of playfulness. Perusalino had bleeding from the corner of his mouth and kicked it out. Chaos fluttered and raised his hand to intercept, pulling away by the way. The photon of Pelusalino disappeared, but a desert knife suddenly swung down and forced Pelusalino to expose his body. Crocodile kicked the middle of the abdomen with one blow, which made Pelusalino disappear into golden light again. The end of the ruins. Shoo. Without giving Pelusalino a chance to breathe, the locks of the sky fell on the surroundings, which made Pelusalino too late to breathe, and photonized and escaped for the first time. Old ape, remember this great, Thunder 8 trigrams. There was a creepy voice, and oncoming was a black golden mace with spiked fangs, which made my heart tremble just by looking at it. Chaos smiled slyly, clenched his mace in both hands and waited specifically for Pelusalino to go on his way. Perusalino's scalp burst, and he only had time to stop his head with his hands. He immediately felt the force of a landslide. He patted his face with his hands in the opposite direction, sunken and twisted, and finally slanted the ground into a shape. Mushroom cloud. The Earth's crust rises to form barren hills, and the center is sunken to form a basin. Pelusalino's trend continued, and he pushed all the way to Kongchong Avenue, and was finally buried in the ruins without knowing his life or death. Bang bang. The ground continued to explode, All kinds of rubble and mud splashed, and the lock of the sky kept sealing the range, not even giving Paluzolino a chance to breathe. But Paluzolino is not a vegetarian. In the case of a hard resistance to chaos and a mace, even if his head is a little dizzy, he will force a photon to fly, and he must not be blocked by the lock of sky. But now Paluzolino is very embarrassed, panting heavily. Desert sword. The crisis came from behind, and Croak Daughter's right arm turned into a blade of sand, covering the arms and heading straight to the back of Paluzolino's neck, cruel and merciless. Paluzolino was very fast, holding the Skycloud sword with one hand, colliding with Crocodile's desert sword in the front, and at the same time shooting a laser from his left hand close at hand. Crocodile did not resist, the elementalization disappeared in place, and gave Paluzolino a pity expression. Now Paluzolino is not only facing him, although Aquino's weak scum can't get up, but there is still the greatest threat. Suddenly, a cold air rushed to the heavenly spirit cover. Paluzolino only felt the wind pressure from his head, and he had no time to hurriedly block the Tiankong Yunjian on his head. Thunder 8 trigrams. The name of the deeply painful move was close at hand, and the huge power made Paluzolino's face grimace, turning into golden light and once again slanting on the ground. The ground within a radius of 1,000 meters continued to collapse, and billowing dust rose into the sky. Immediately afterwards, a large number of locks of the sky rushed, one after another. Explosion was deafening. The photon of Paluzolino quickly escaped and appeared in the air, his arms crossed and a dazzling light appeared, his face full of embarrassment. Bachichong Guyu. Countless dense golden light bullets rushed out towards Chaos and Crocodile without dead spots. Some pirate thugs who watched the show changed their faces, hating their parents, and ran away quickly because of a few legs. Humph. Facing such an intensive attack, Crocodile scorned his face and disappeared as flying sand. And Chaos, with a heart move, shot a golden shield into the sky, and directly carried the light bullet directly in front of him. A series of big explosions continued, but Chaos was not passively defensive. The entire sky went dark, and huge shadows roared down, and a slender palm protruded from the thunderous clouds. It was so clear that even the palm prints could be seen, which was very similar to the palm of the sky by one move. Damn it. Paluzolino cursed in his heart, looked at the center of the explosion that was billowing in smoke, and then put away the attack and the photon disappeared. I've been waiting for you for a long time, Arc Moon Sand Dunes. At the moment Crocodile found the opportunity, the entire arm became huge and crescent-shaped, and it floated to Paluzolino so lightly, looking completely harmless. It is indeed not lethal, because this trick does not cause surface damage, but moisture. As long as it is touched by this trick, the water in the organism will be sucked up for the first time, and it will eventually become a dry corpse and die. The two passed by like this, but Paluzolino's reaction was quick. After he reunited his body, his left arm was obviously a lot thinner. If it weren't armed, his arm might be scrapped. Thunder 8 trigrams. The danger is not over, but more terrifying. The sound of bone cracking came from Paluzolino, the hot blood splashed like a fountain, and Paluzolino turned into golden light and fell to the ground, like a nuclear bomb exploded and formed a mushroom cloud. Chaos was standing in the air with a mace, a cigar dangling in his mouth. It is really difficult for one person to deal with Paluzolino. After all, time is fair, and others are also becoming stronger when one is becoming stronger. It is a pity that Paluzolino is facing two people, Chaos and Crocodile, and this mode has risen directly to hard mode. Snapped. Chaos snapped his fingers, and a large number of skylocks began to fly, but in the next second, Chaos's face was startled and all the skylocks disappeared back in place, leaving only a word for Crocodile. Old Shaw, the wind screams tightly, withdraw. Crocodile was completely dumbfounded, but he obeyed Chaos for the first time. At this time, on the distant sea level, the rough sea was separated to form a ravine, the sea on both sides was forced out, and an invisible figure broke through the sound barrier, deafeningly approaching the volcanic island quickly. The explosive and tyrannical aura was as unfathomable as the abyss. Sauz was aware of this horror, so he gave up Paluzolino and appeared next to Aquino for the first time, grabbed the ground and fled. Confirmed the breath, absolutely can't beat it. Therefore, Chaos retreated simply and neatly, without any muddle-headedness. Want to go? Paluzolino rushed into the air from the dense dust, watching the escaped Chaos 3 people, and chasing them out in one fell swoop. He also felt the breath that was rapidly approaching the volcanic island. It's just that the breath is a little unpleasant. Old ape, you must be kind. The sparks of the golden GE iron horse appeared in the air, forming a large piece of golden needles, and they shot at them, covering them with armed colors. Paluzolino shot a laser beam to collide with it, and the entire high altitude exploded continuously for a time. The Golden Emperor, you can't escape. Pelusalino's face was covered with bloodstains, and he chased him in an attempt to hold Chaos. With support, he is not the one who is flustered. He is defeated. 2 mini sandstorms appeared in Crocodile's hands, looking at Pelusalino, who was pursuing him with contempt. If it weren't for the frightening breath, Pelusalino would definitely be able to taste his power. Humph. Pelusalino was very upset with Crocodile's contemptuous eyes, who didn't know he thought he couldn't beat it. Please, take a look at the current situation. It's you who escaped, and it's me who chased me. Pelusalino is very angry, and the consequences are serious. Fingertips shot one after another, but unfortunately, under the counterattack of Chaos and Crocodile, they did not have the effect of holding back. If it is Chaos alone, it is really possible to be dragged, but with Crocodile covering, Chaos can spend most of his energy on running, so it is not dragged. What's more, Chaos withdrew as soon as he discovered that horrible aura. No time was wasted. Boom. At this moment, a figure in the port of the volcanic island hit the ground, forming a pothole in a radius of 100 meters. At the center, Zephyr was full of high-temperature steam. He looked up at the empty sky and frowned slightly. Are you a step late? But, one by one the Earth's crust cocked. Zephyr soared into the sky and turned into a cannonball, and continued to chase out with a deafening sonic boom. Although he is not very cold to Pelusalino, he still has the ability. It shouldn't be a big problem to hold the Golden Emperor. Zephyr thought so, but it's not right to chase after him. 10 minutes later, on the vast uncultivated sea, Zephyr stood in the air on the moonwalk, panting and looking a little embarrassed. He can fly entirely by relying on moonwalk and shave. Short-term explosive power is fine, but how can he sustain it for a long distance, and he is not a Logia-capable person. The key is that Pelusalino did not hold back the Golden Emperor in the perception of seeing, hearing and color. This is F*King. There is even reason to suspect that Pelusalino was deliberate. He can reach it even if he drags it for a minute, but it remains at the same level in this minute. 10 minutes later. A piece of golden light condensed and formed. Pelusalino was covered in dirt, and met Zephyr in the sea in embarrassment. It looks like a failure. Zephyr had no expression on his face. The steam disappeared from his body and he had already retired from his life. He just stepped on the moonwalk and hung in the air on the undulating sea. Pelusalino's face was ugly and a little pale. He was seriously injured. He really couldn't stand it before he gave up. If he drags his scarred body and continues to pursue him, if the Golden Emperor kills his carbine, he may kneel directly. With the despicable and shameless Golden Emperor, this kind of thing must be done. Damn it. This time I suffered a big loss, but I was careless. Seeing Pelusalino's face vacant, Zephyr didn't bother to speak again. The explosion at his feet caused the sea to sink deep, which turned into a cannonball and turned into a black spot in the blink of an eye. Pelusalino glanced back at the sky, his gloomy face turned into a golden beam and disappeared. It took a while for the two of them to return to the volcanic island. Since the Golden Emperor didn't catch a few other pirates. The entire volcanic island was panicked for a while. Over the sea on the other side, Chaos and Crocodile stood in the palm of the goddess, and both breathed a sigh of relief. Aquino at his feet also recovered a lot. Boss, it should be Black Arm. Crocodile breathed out smoke rings, his black fur coat was flying behind his back, his face was full of discomfort. If it weren't for Black Arm Zephyr, Pelusalino would definitely be caught by them. 8 or 9 are not far from 10, these old guys are more wild than one. At present we have other things to do. Let's avoid them for the time being. Chaos also looked at the endless sea, and the soot from the bullets fluttered in the sea breeze. Where shall we go next? Calm Belt, you train him first. I will attack some important bases of the world government alone. Chaos frowned and looked at Aquino. This guy became more and more useless, even Pelusalino couldn't bear a kick. Crocodile's face was full of reluctance, and he wanted to go out. But there was still no objection, and it was agreed by default. Oldton, your strength needs to be improved, otherwise you won't be able to join my team. Facing the sharp eyes of Chaos, Aquino lowered his head and dared not look at each other, but he kept yelling in his heart. Now that I know that Lousy is weak, we should let Lousy go. Damn it. Train him to death, just like I trained you at the beginning. If you die, you will die. Seeing Aquino's silence, Kaios turned to look at Crocodile. Understood. Crocodile smoked his cigar and looked at Aquino very coldly. Because of this guy, he didn't even have time to go out and pretend to be B. It's really troublesome. Or kill it secretly. No, you must be trained. Before this guy really understands the team's mission and culture, he must not die. Crocodile's uncertain face returned to normal. After spending some time, Chaos sent the two to Calm Belt and left. This time the world government not only dispatched Sengoku, but also Zephyr. I really value him. It would be rude not to be polite. His Golden Emperor is known for his quality. Brew, Marineford, office of the Marshal of the headquarters building. The phone worm was connected to the empty space that was dealing with government affairs. Marshal, the 59 good branch was destroyed by the Golden Emperor. There was a horrified roar from the phone bug, and the words stopped abruptly as soon as they were finished. 2 hours ago, Sora had received information about the volcanic island. He knew that Paluzolino and Zephyr had failed to capture the Golden Emperor. Now Zephyr is continuing the pursuit on the warship, while Paluzolino is returning to the nearby marine branch to be recuperating. Only 2 hours have passed before the Golden Emperor actually made another move. Is it revenge? Without the anger as imagined, Kong's face was very calm. Just as I was thinking, the phone worm rang again. This is empty. I am number 10. Sora's calm face gradually sneered as he listened to the voice inside the phone worm. Time goes back to Happy Island an hour ago. After Guy Simi and the three of them cleaned up, calm has been gradually restored. Stussy also took a shower and changed a set of clothes, and was checking some documents in a castle. The red light district not only includes Happy Island, it is just the base camp. Other islands around the world also have red light zones, which are considered branches. Many of them are now out of Stussy's control, and some are either self-reliant or annexed by other forces, such as other forces in the underground world, which can be described as riddled with defects. There are many things to do next. Putting down the file and rubbing his forehead, Stussy took a sip of coffee, a little sad on his delicate face. Boom. The castle wall suddenly exploded, and several wounded bodies shot in, hitting the other wall and rolling stones. Stussy's eyes were cold, and he looked at the smoky wall, and two looming figures walked in. When she saw her face clearly, Stussy's expression went out of control. Stussy, it looks like you have a pretty good time. The voice is soft, some are weak, like a moaning woman. No 10 feet's delicate face showed a non-smiling expression, as if no one walked towards the sofa not far away. Behind the pterodactyl's 3-meter-high burly body, the green hair was unusually conspicuous. The two were like beasts and cannons. Looking at these two people, Stussy has been tensed. There was even a trace of fear in his eyes. She is not afraid of the muscular pterodactyl, but Niang Pao number 10. You are as beautiful as ever. Number 10 sat on the sofa, her slender eyebrows turned into eyeliner curled up, her white and tender face was full of spring breeze smiles, but the next moment she turned sharply as follows. Saber-toothed tiger, squirrel, macaque, pangolin, did you really kill? Dangerous, extremely dangerous. Stussy met those pupils that were more delicate than a woman, and his hair exploded. This man looks silly, but the cruel methods can be said to be an extinction of humanity. Once slaughtered nearly half of the people in a small kingdom, there were also 4 to 5 million people. It looks like you really betrayed. Seeing that Stussy was silent, just looking at him with a vigilant face, the slender eyes of number 10 narrowed slightly, as if a slit was extremely cold. Call out. Stussy didn't even think about it, but disappeared in place and escaped. Puff. In the broken wall outside, Stussy suddenly vomited blood, and the whole person turned into a cannonball and flew out, smashing into the ruins with pain on his face. Number 10, who was originally sitting on the sofa, appeared on a broken wall in vain, leaning slightly to look at Stussy who was standing up, without the slightest fluctuation in her eyes. You still want to resist, or do you think you can escape from me? Very indifferent tone, but full of honey and self-confidence. Stussy didn't speak, and a large number of white clouds appeared in vain. In the blink of an eye, it shrouded a radius of 100 meters. With the appearance of lightning flashes, it quickly transformed into a thundercloud and spread to a range of thousands of meters. Number 10 did not move, and let the thundercloud surround herself. The lightning that is enough to stun an elephant does not even count as tickles on the body. Logia. Is this what you rely on? Through the layers of black clouds, number 10 seemed to see Stussy. Bluebrew. The phone worm rang quickly. In an island tavern on the Grand Line, Chaos was eating steak slowly, staring at him whether it was inside or outside the tavern. Greed, passion, jealousy as always. Even if you are accustomed to this kind of eye-catching sight, you can feel great satisfaction every time. It feels like it can last a lifetime. After destroying the marine branch number 59, Chaos came to this island, not knowing if it was because of the return of his life. He is now hungry very quickly, and his appetite is also rising. Just after eating the food for 30 people, the voice of a telephone bug rang from the golden goose feather coat. Take it out in a hurry and put it on the table. After the connection, there is no sound inside. Almost 5 seconds later, a motherly laugh came out. The Golden Emperor. Chaos cut the steak and slowly narrowed his eyes as he watched the phone. Introduce myself. I am the former captain of Stussy. Oh. Chaos screamed and continued to eat his steak. On the 10th of Happy Island, sitting on the sofa at the moment, looking at the phone bug on the desk, glanced at the scarred Stussy on the ground next to him, his face pale and dying. The Golden Emperor, this directly blocked the sky. Some do not play cards according to common sense. You know, this phone worm is Stussy's, Stussy is in my hands. Number 10 is still smiling, but some needles are hidden in the cotton. Oh. There was another sound, and there was a chewing sound. It was obvious that the Golden Emperor was eating. It seems that your new master doesn't care about you. 2 beeps, it has already indicated a lot of things. The Golden Emperor didn't take Stussy to heart. Facing number 10's sneer, Stussy fell silent on the ground. As early as when she left the team to deal with the red light district, this result had been expected. That's right, whether it's Stussy or Chaos, they all expected it. Even negotiated. Since it had been anticipated, why did Stussy leave alone to deal with it? After all, Chaos and Crocodile can also follow. The reasons are only those few. It is impossible for Chaos in the red light district to give up. The reason why Stussy was allowed to come alone was because he didn't want to put his eggs in a basket. The other is the careful thinking of both sides. Stussy wanted to tell Chaos that she really had no intention of betraying the world government. This is actually a bet that Chaos will save her. Some things are well known. In addition, Chaos also intends to solve the red light area once and for all. Hurting each other is only one of the plans, and he has another plan. At the same time, it is time for the world government to look at the power of money. Since his debut, he has been fighting with gold, and the true value of gold has never been used. This is the biggest hole card of Chaos, but this hole card is really too conventional. It's not that Chaos said, he doesn't need to save Stussy himself, just 2 or 3 sentences can make the world government throw Stussy off. Now mutual harm is just playing with the world government. Wait, did you just threaten my face value? As if the prophet realized later, Chaos was chewing the steak, as if he had just realized it. Even through the phone bug, number 10 was stunned. Dare to love the Golden Emperor is a foolish fool. It turned out to be unexpected. Haha, number 10 laughed, but her voice was a bit sharp, and Chaos couldn't help getting goosebumps all over her body. It's really F*K. Put away your babes, you will receive the order before long, and then let go of my face value obediently. Chaos felt a cold, forcibly interrupted no 10 feet's laughter, and continued to speak. Stussy, you will be injured later, and you will be beaten to death. You are my Golden Emperor's person, no one can bully you, you are covered by lousy. The phone worm hung up, not even giving number 10 a chance to speak. And Stussy on the ground, lowered her head and twitched her mouth, blood overflowing from her red lips, a trace of helplessness in her eyes, and a sigh of relief in her heart. The vanity man didn't give up on her. Hanging up the phone worm, Chaos took a sip of red wine and dialed a phone worm number again. Bluebrew, this is empty. As soon as the phone worm was connected, there was a majestic and strong voice, far away in the Marineford office. Looking at the phone worm's appearance, the bells and whistles could vaguely see the appearance of the Golden Emperor. The phone worm in the world of One Piece has a very magical ability, that is, both sides of the phone worm will show the appearance and some special characteristics of the collar. For example, the Chaos phone worm is now displaying Kanamo Sea dry onion. Yo. Marshal Sora, would you like to have afternoon tea together? Chaos frustrated a cigar, and his face was full of enjoyment while spitting out the smoke ring. Humph. Kong Lang snorted, not cold to Chaos. Emperor Golden, you better pray not to be caught by Marine. Don't worry about this. Now I want to threaten the world government. Your level is not enough. Let 5 elders call me. Remember, you only have 3 minutes. If my phone bug doesn't ring for 3 minutes, I won't know what will happen next. Money can control everything. Waiting for your good news, dear. Chaos smiled sinisterly, and finally got a bit naughty. After speaking, the phone worm hangs up without giving an empty chance to answer. In the office, Sora looked at the phone worm who had finished the call, frowning on the meaning of Emperor Jin. He is Marshal Marine, so he said he was not level enough? Sounds very uncomfortable. Still threatening the world government. Who gave the courage? Overweight. Snorting. From the beginning to the end, in his eyes, the Golden Emperor was just a clown. And many more. Kong's face changed slightly, and soon he noticed the third sentence. Money can control everything. Damn it, are you stupid? Being able to become Marshal of Marine will become the commander of the whole army of world government in the future. Fighting power alone will not be enough, but also strong political talent and exquisiteness. With just one sentence, Sora is a bit chilly. The original contempt disappeared all at once. What is left is a lingering fear. If Whitebeard has the power to destroy the world, and it is uncontrollable on a large scale, then the Golden Emperor also has it, and he still refers to it. Money can indeed control everything. What is the scariest thing in this world? Human heart, greed, desire, and money just can be manipulated. Bluebrew. The hurried phone worm rang again, and the phone worm of 5 elders was freely dialed. Empty. What's the matter? As soon as the call was connected, a strong voice came. Master 5 elders, the Golden Emperor just called. Sora quickly recounted the situation just now, and at the same time also recounted his own guess. Immediately afterwards, both the Marshal's office and the 5 elders' office were quiet. Have the Golden Emperor finally noticed the greatest value of the golden fruit? In Marie Joy's, the 5 elders have different expressions. Then talk about it. Ghostly 5 elders is wearing a bathrobe, and the eyes under the white light glasses are extremely piercing. The Golden Emperor. The phone worm connected, and Chaos shook the red wine glass in his hand. The bright red liquid in it exuded a sweet and mellow taste. Chaos never wronged himself in life. The best red wine. The steak is also the best. This hotel can give a good comment. 5 elders, happy meeting. Chaos looked at the bald phone worm, with a birthmark on his forehead. Emperor Golden. What do you want to do? Birthmark 5 elders didn't mean anything, but the tone was a little aggressive. I don't want to do anything, it's just a showdown with you. Chaos sipped his cigar, spitting out smoke rings, showing his elegance. I didn't rush and continued, I just received the news that you have caught the face of my subordinates. I am very upset. I am a poor person and only have money left, so I plan to offer you a reward for playing. For example, 5 elders has 10 billion heads per person, Marine Marshal 8 billion, Admiral 6 billion, Vice Admiral 4 billion, Rear Admiral 3 billion. 10,000 berry. Government officials, all world government agencies are offering a reward of 8 or 9 billion. I believe there will be many people all over the world who want to get this wealth. Look at how kind I am, and I haven't even let it go. Ah. Money is really annoying, there is nowhere to spend too much. It is estimated that I will be recorded in the annals of history. The world government has always offered rewards to others. What do you think of this idea? Chaos sighed and said that he was full of melancholy, showing the troubles of the rich. Phoo. The breathing in the phone worm was a bit heavy. At this moment, the 5 elders in Marie Joyce's office had gloomy faces, each of them with murderous intent in their eyes. This is what they fear most. If the Golden Emperor really did this, the world government would definitely be messy. Although the world government is strong enough, it can undoubtedly be a car in the face of the whole world, and the continuous small troubles can make the world government paralyzed and difficult to operate. If things go on like this, the world government will definitely be dragged down. This is why so many people in the world want to catch chaos. The destructive power of money is the most terrible. Say your terms. This time it was 5 elders in a flat hat who spoke. Both parties are not fools. Since the Golden Emperor has not done anything yet, but threatened them, it means that the other party is not ready to tear his skin. If the Golden Emperor really dared to do this, then the world government will be killed at all costs. When the time comes to escape to the end of the world, the Golden Emperor is also dead. Unless you leave this planet. Imagine that the world government CPO, all marine agencies, and the strong are desperate to hunt and kill chaos. The result will definitely be a disastrous defeat for chaos. No one knows what power is hidden behind the 800-odd-year-end congregation of the world government. Just those weird devil fruit abilities are a huge threat. What's more, world government has a big boss, and 5 elders is just a puppet on the surface. This is also the reason why Chaos chose to talk over the phone, rather than just tearing his skin. Chaos has repeatedly emphasized that arrogance and domineering are all based on fateful conditions, and that everything without this premise is a cloud. Therefore, in the fight with the world government, the range must be maintained within a controllable range, and the bottom line must not be broken. Otherwise, if it loses control, it must be chaos who kneels. The world government pays a little price at most. Very uneconomical. Both sides are smart people, and they have already counted more than 10 steps, and know the disadvantages and advantages of how to choose. Doing business with smart people is smooth. As for what I want, I believe you can also think of it. If you can't think of it, you can only say that your IQ may be a bit defective. I want to know the result within 5 minutes. This conversation is very pleasant. Chaos hung up after speaking. Smart people don't need to say so clearly, he knows 5 elders understands him. Bang. It's rampant. In Marie Joyce's office, as the phone worm hung up, the blonde 5 elders had a sullen face. How many years have it been? I haven't felt this mood for many years. What do you think? Long straight hair 5 elders sits on the sofa, wearing a dark blue suit with Erlang's legs tilted, and his face is very calm. This guy is a time bomb, the golden fruit shouldn't be left out. Ghost Toru 5 elders wiped the supreme sharp knife, and a cold light flashed across the eyes under the white light glasses. Don't act rashly for the time being, as long as you have the opportunity to seize it in one fell swoop, you must never give him any opportunity to resist, and the red light district will be put on hold. There are more and more troubles, and the Roger Pirates are also a time bomb. Notify it. The phone worm dialed again, and the whole office was calm after 3 minutes. Happy Island, on the 10th, hung up the phone and turned to look at Stussy, her feminine face constantly changing. How did the Golden Emperor do it? Just now 5 elders personally called him, and unexpectedly gave up the capture of Stussy and the takeover of the red light district. It looks like I'm all right. Stussy shook up, showing her slender figure to the fullest with her shattered dress. She reached out and swept the messy hair from her forehead to the base of her ears, showing a graceful smile. She also heard the phone call just now. It was the order of 5 elders. Stussy, we will meet again. Number 10's face sank, and she stood up from the sofa and looked at Stussy coldly. Stussy still maintains a polite smile, but she is responsible for her looks, she must show her best side at all times. As the man said, life can be lost, but demeanor must not be lost. This is a matter of principle. The two passed by, and number 10 and the pterodactyl quickly disappeared. They have to rush to New World to investigate the news of pure gold. Stussy didn't stop, nor wanted revenge, but walked to the sofa and sat down with some difficulty and exhaled heavily. Bluebrew. The phone worm on the desk rang again, and Stussy connected. Boss. It seems that 5 elders is very sensible. The nonchalant voice of Chaos made Stussy smile. Boss, it will take a while for me to finish the things in the red light district. Don't panic. Take your time. I'm waiting for you in New World. Chaos could tell from the voice that Stussy was relaxed now and seemed to be in a good mood. At this time, you should take care of it and you can trust it. Let's do this first. The second appearance of our team has appeared, which may threaten your status. At this time, in the hotel, Chaos suddenly looked out of the window, an open-air coffee shop a few blocks away, with surprises on his face. He didn't expect to meet this woman here. Interesting. Boss? Stussy looked at the hung-up phone worm, magnifying her dazzling eyes a little. What's the meaning? Is her role in the team's face value threatened? Is there a second woman who wants to join the team? Even the boss said that it might threaten her status, so this woman must be able to compete with her in terms of appearance. What a joke. She is the queen of joy. I don't know when she started, she seemed to care about these 4 words, she was very awkward at first, but she seemed to be lost when she heard more. It can be seen from Stussy's reaction now. She can't fight for the appearance of men, but not for women. It's her honor and pride. No, you have to quickly finish the red light district matters and merge with the team. Stussy has a strong sense of urgency.